An inside look at baseball and a preview of today's game of the week. Brought to you by Lowenbrow. When you want the taste of a truly great beer, there's really only one. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrow. And by Commodore Computers. It's not how little you pay, but how much you get for the money. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the game of the week. Len Berman in New York. Today, it's the Yankees and Angels or Cubs and Astros. On our pregame report, we'll have the top highlights of the week, including some strange bounces. And we will pay tribute to the late Charlie Lau. But first up, let's go out to the announcers for today's games, and let's start at Yankee Stadium with Vin and Joe.
Thank you, Len. Everybody's heard about the tale of two cities, but really here in New York, it's baseball's tale of one city.
They're really battling for the entertainment dollar here, the Yankees and the Mets. I guess the height was reached when the Mets had Strawberry Day and George and the Yankees had Digital Watch Day. I mean, the players are important, but let's have those promotions.
Yeah, I think the count on Strawberry Day was 28,000 at Shea, 51,000 for digital watches, so I guess the Yankees lead in a giveaway department. But what about ball players? The Mets are battling for first place with Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry leading the way.
And today, Phil Niekro is pitching. Great for the senior citizens.
And I guess the Yankees are relying more or less on the tradition of the pinstripers, the mark of success, even though they have been virtually buried, at least for the moment, by Detroit.
Well, George battles Strawberry with Mattingly, and he says he's got Rijo to go against Gooden, so it is a battle of one city.
Yep, the tale of one city. And with that, let's go to Bob Costas and find out the tale from Chicago.
All right, Vin and Joe, thank you. Like New York, Chicago is a two-team town. Last year it was owned by the White Sox with their championship in the American League West. But this year the Cubs are making noise. They're the leaders at this stage in the National League East. Here's their manager, Jim Fry. Jim, there are people who say, no kidding this year, the Cubs have a chance.
Well, we've got a good ball club. We have played well. We've got some good, solid hitting. Our starters pitched well the first couple of weeks. Our bullpen has done well recently. I think we've got a good, strong ball club.
People look at the National League East and they say no one dominant team. How many victories do you think it'll take?
Usually, you got to figure 90 or 90 plus. If you get up around 90, you're going to be in the hunt all the way.
If you had to isolate one key for the Cubs, what would it be?
I would say that we got to keep a couple of our hitters healthy, a couple of the key guys healthy. Lee Smith certainly is a key to our ball club.
That's Jim Fry, the manager of the Cubs. Let's go back now to Len Berman in New York.
Thank you, Bob. The Houston side, they continue unhealthy. 6 players, including Joe Sambito and Dickie Thon, are still on the disabled list. We'll have the news of the week when we continue in just a minute.
I see your desk got a computer on it.
Yeah, smart desk. Going to the game?
Me, I don't need a computer. I just call Bert.
What if Bert's not in?
I wait till Bert's back. Who's playing?
Detroit. You know, I don't know how I managed before.
Well, machines and I just don't mix, know what I mean?
Sure. I'll see you at the game.
Yeah, actually, I've got a little more to do.
Some people don't need an IBM computer on their desk.
Is that you, Bert?
The smart desk is for people who do.
He's at the game.
1952, George Stephen invents the incredibly durable Weber kettle.
Incredible.
It soon becomes the best-loved way to broil burgers and roast the Thanksgiving turkey.
We love it.
But nobody loves cleaning out the ashes.
We don't love that.
Weber engineers, deep in thought, invent the one-touch system. Weber's one-touch opens to circulate heat and seal in the juices.
Ooh.
Weber's one-touch closes to put out the fire. Best of all, Weber's one-touch sweeps out all the ashes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The Weber one-touch, only from Weber.
Magna from Honda. Own one and you own the road.
Sports World makes big news. Undefeated Hector Macho Camacho battles Rafael Williams. Is the Macho Man with the devastating hands ready for this Latin American champion? A showdown inside the ring that will make headlines. NBC Sports is big news in May.
Time now for the news of the week around Major League Baseball. There were some important comings and goings. There were some big home runs hit, and we have a civics lesson as well. Here goes.
It was opening day for Willie Wilson, Willie Aikens, and Jerry Martin as they came back from their drug suspensions. But it was an emotional farewell for Jim Palmer as he and the Orioles parted company.
I still think I can pitch.
You know, I have the desire to do that. But I'm going to leave. Thank you very much for coming.
And some pitchers think they can hit. Joaquin Andújar hit a grand slam. And so did Steve Carlton for the suddenly hot Phillies. Some hitters continued to hit. A milestone for Mike Schmidt as he belted home run number 400, the 20th player to do it. And one pitcher pitched a baseball oddity. 4 strikeouts in 1 inning. Mario Soto did it as one of the third strikes got dropped. Well, the beat goes on in Detroit. The Tigers had another winning week as they continue to roll. Hot teams like Baltimore and Toronto just can't make up any ground. And our civics lesson of the week comes from Minnesota. Business leaders are buying thousands of tickets to keep the Twins in town. If they sell 2.4 million tickets this year, the Twins cannot break their Metrodome lease. But a ticket is not a body. Paid attendance the other day, 51,000. But only 6,000 bothered to show up.
You know, 42% of the team has already been sold to a group from Tampa. But a Minnesota paper reports today that Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn has told the group the sale will not be approved, that baseball wants local ownership for the Twins. Elsewhere in sports, the Soviets have apparently said they will not try to widen the Olympic boycott, that countries such as Cuba and Romania will be free to choose for themselves. The Preakness today, 10 horses are entered. They're expecting a fast track at Pimlico. Swale is the favorite. Boxing news, Hector Macho Camacho moves up to the lightweight division tomorrow here on NBC Sports. Dr. Ferdy Pacheco has a report for us from Corpus Christi, Texas.
Macho, tomorrow on NBC Sports World, you face a tough enough opponent in Raphael Williams. Now, the word is you've been in training camp taunting him, you're driving him crazy, he can't wait to get at you. Now, why would you do that?
Well, he first started trying to intimidate me. He was trying to do the macho on macho. So I told him, even if you dream of beating me, when you wake up, you better apologize. So he's going crazy.
Well, Sugar Ray, hopefully, Sugar Ray Leonard is out of boxing for good. That leaves a void in boxing as far as charismatic characters are
now, wait
concerned.
up. It's the macho man now. I'm the macho man. I miss the excitement in the game now. So don't blink your eyes, because I'm the macho man of boxing.
Well, I, for one, believe you. And now, back to New York.
Ah! Ooh, that's $1 million cut.
Glad you liked it. There were some strange bounces this week around baseball. Sometimes a play starts off routine, but it doesn't end up routinely. Here are some examples now.
Here is your routine ground ball off the pitcher's foot right to the third baseman who throws out the runner. Here's your routine hit batsman where it's the umpire who gets hurt on the ricochet. And here's your routine line drive with base hit written all over it. But bingo, second baseman for the out. Your routine 4-3 putout to cost Mike Heath a hit.
And when we continue on our pregame report, we will remember Charlie Lau and the influence that he had on his friends and his players. We'll be right back.
How old should your child be before you buy a computer? High school, when he's planning a career? Elementary school, when she can either fall behind or leap ahead? Or preschool, to give him a head start? When you buy is up to you. But Commodore makes the decision easier than any other computer. Because it's a 64, it's very powerful. Because it's Commodore, it's very affordable.
Here's to good friends.
Terrific reunion.
Yeah, the last time we were here, we made history. It's kind of special. I stole that ball. I made the pass.
I made the shot.
Make that shot again, we'll buy you a loan box. The beer will pour. Must say
Hey, what can I tell you? We still got it.
Never lost it. Let it be low and brown.
Charlie Lau died 2 months ago at the age of 50. Today, we would like to pay tribute to the man some people have called the top hitting coach the game has ever seen.
There's a reason why we picked this week to pay tribute. Kansas City played Chicago. It was your normal 3-game series, with Chicago winning 2 out of the 3.
Wherever you looked around Comiskey Park this week, you couldn't help but think of Charlie Lau. After all, he helped Kansas City in the 1970s and Chicago in the 1980s. And he certainly left his mark.
There's Ron Kittle showing patience. That's Charlie Lau. There's George Brett, perfect weight shift. That's Charlie Lau. There's Carlton Fisk, head down. That's Charlie Lau.
I think hitting is a gray area. Not too many people understand it or can speak intelligently about it. And they like to hear about how do we hit a baseball. It's a hard thing to do. And if somebody comes along that finds a way that does work, they'll listen.
As a player, he was a journeyman catcher. Played 11 years with 5 teams. He never batted .300.
When he stopped playing, he started analyzing hitting, taking films, breaking down films and looking. And it was mentioned early on, you know, that he was going to be a good hitting instructor because he was willing to spend the time with, at that time, the younger players.
He turned working with people into an art form. He even played himself in a movie. His books comprise the Bible of hitting. His players are his disciples.
He has meant more to me in my career than he'll ever know or ever did know. And for that, I'm grateful. But right now, I'm struggling again, and I desperately need somebody to talk to.
Whenever you had problems, felt like you were struggling at the plate, there was always that open ear that Charlie had, and you were able to go into the office, look over videotapes, and just get down and discuss what hitting was all about on a real personal level.
You know, usually in baseball, if you're doing well, you got friends. If you're not doing too well, you don't have any, you know. So it's kind of a bandwagon type situation in baseball, and I knew regardless of the situation, he was always in my corner.
His star pupil, George Brett. He says Charlie Lau kept him in the majors.
I didn't really know how to hit. I didn't know what your hands were supposed to do, and I'd never heard of weight shift before, and I really didn't. The only thing I knew about hitting was the guy was going to throw a white ball, and you hit it, and then you run towards first base, and if you think you can make it towards second, you keep going. Every once in a while, he'd get in the cage, and when we were doing something wrong, he would make me stand outside the cage and have someone throw in batting practice, and he'd get up there, and sure enough, he'd hit 3 or 4 line drives in a row and says, "Now copy that, you big dummy," and he kind of put me under his wing and took good care of me, and helped me through some tough times.
My memories of Charlie are so strong that I really feel, even like right now, I felt like I was in the clubhouse and he was sitting there and I was talking to him about, well, Fisk hitting second, that's still good. Bull struggling a little bit. How do we, you know, I really feel like I can remember everything about Charlie, and I can sincerely say there isn't a day past that I haven't thought about him.
The fitting tribute would be for me to be at Cooperstown and seeing Charlie Lau enshrined into baseball's Hall of Fame as the first coach to make the Hall of Fame.
How many people have an impact on life after they're gone? Think about that the next time you see George Brett keeping his head still. Or Vance Law extending his arms. Or Willie Wilson using the entire field. The legacy of Charlie Lau lives on.
And it lives on in his books as well. Here's a copy of his new book that comes out next month called The Winning Hitter. And symbolic of his humility, there's no picture of Charlie Lau anywhere in the book, just pictures of the players he helped. And that'll do it for our pregame report. I hope you enjoy the game, everybody. I'll have the scores and highlights for you throughout the afternoon. We'll see you later.
Before politics.
What about the Americans? Don't they worry you?
Before professionalism.
They're scarcely more than novices.
There really was an Olympics, where the only prize was glory. Share the thrilling adventure of the 13 Americans who took on the world. You'll stand up and cheer as the first Olympics begins tomorrow.
For 7 days, the good old guys want to sell an Oldsmobile every single minute. Come to our Car Minute Super Sale and get a special low price on America's top-selling Cutlass Supreme and Cutlass Sierra. Save on every Delta 88, new front-wheel drive 98, Olds Forenza, and Toronado. A Car Minute for 7 days. That's more than 10,000 Oldsmobiles. So choose your Oldsmobile, pick your minute, and get the deal you've been waiting for.
From your good old guy.
I've driven in the snow, and I've driven in the mud. Let me tell you, neither's fun, bud.
Drive on Bridgestone.
Eats up snow and tracks like an arrow, drinks up the water and spits out the miles, and that's miles of smiles.
Drive on Bridgestone, drive on.
Being safe and feeling right, you got your world locked up tight, right?
Right. Drive on Bridgestone, drive on.
High-tech tread design for all kinds of weather. The name is Bridgestone.
Drive on Bridgestone, drive on.
Linda Gray and Louis L'Amour, Monday, live at 5.
Welcome to the house that Ruth built, Yankee Stadium, christened by the Bambino with a home run in April of 1923. And it is to Yankee Stadium that marks the return of Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, who hit as many as 41 home runs as a member of the Yankees, but now comes back as a member of the California Angels and can still hit them out of sight. Case in proof, Detroit last week. Reggie Jackson, with 485 career home runs, returns to the home of the man who hit 714 as the Yankees meet the Angels at Yankee Stadium.
NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Yankee Stadium, it's the California Angels versus the New York Yankees. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Light Beer from Miller, an official beer sponsor of Major League Baseball. By IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers. By Armor All, it's science, but it works like magic. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Welcome to New York. Temperature about 70 degrees, partially cloudy, a threat of rain earlier this morning, but apparently it has moved out of the city. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola, and in essence, East meets West.
Niekro against Zahn, and it's going to prove you need not have overpowering stuff to be a good pitcher. Zahn will spot that ball, and Niekro with the knuckler.
It's interesting, too, that Jeb Zahn is 25% of his 100 big league victories in the month of April. Niekro, a notorious slow starter, was something like 1-14 in the National League, and he was 4-0 in April. It suddenly means one old warhorse has maintained his consistency. The other one is totally different.
And I never could understand why Niekro would get off to a bad start, because a knuckleball is really an equal opportunity, hard to hit, hard to catch pitch. Nobody really has any easy time with it.
And with a knuckleballer, would that mean California would do a lot of running? It's not that much of a running club.
Except that Niekro gets the ball up to the plate in good time. 1.2 is what they've measured him, and that gives the catcher a lot of time. So, of course, it's a luxury with a man on third. I used to hate to see that. I couldn't handle a knuckleball.
Well, we'll find out about Butch Weiniger, whether he can handle a knuckleball or a curveball or a fastball. And we'll have the starting lineup, pregame stats coming up right after this.
Loss of control here could ruin your whole day.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
Even on the highway, I stay on top of my car with the new Delco Performer shock absorber. Its sealed gas cell eliminates air bubbles and provides a constant cushion in lab tests and on the highway. It's the only shock your car will ever need. Never wait for trouble. Get the Delco Performer.
Call 800 AC Delco for a retailer near you.
This camping trip was a good idea. Yeah, it sure is relaxing. Peaceful. Groovy. Groovy? Kind of dark, though. Man, I'm getting thirsty. Yeah, let's have another light beer from Miller. Light less filling! Taste great! Less filling! Taste great! Less filling! What was that?
The creature.
What creature?
Well, legend has it that a horrible thing stalks these woods.
Oh, Mickey!
And it comes out when the moon is full.
What does this creature look like?
It walks on two legs.
but it isn't human. It's got big eyes that bulge out and...
It's the great guy! Hey, guys, where you going? Hey, guys, where are the marshmallows?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Come on, it's after us! Man, did you see that thing? Sacre bleu!
Hi, I'm Nolan Ryan. I always get a thrill from seeing baseball's great players in the All-Star game. That's why I urge you to help choose the starting lineups for the 1984 All-Star game in San Francisco on July the 10th. This will be the 15th year that you can vote for your favorites in baseball's All-Star election. Ballots are free at retail stores featuring a Gillette All-Star display and at major and minor league ballparks. All-Star balloting ends June 30th, so get out and vote.
The preceding announcement was furnished by Major League Baseball and Gillette.
George Steinbrenner's weekend guest, the Dunedin High School Falconeers from Dunedin, Florida, singing our national anthem. And as they file proudly off, George is going to show them a nice time in the Big Apple for the weekend. And they did themselves proud indeed with our national anthem. Overcast skies at Yankee Stadium, but one job already well done, and now it remains for the players to put on the show, and a show they should. The Angels and the Yankees, they had their extra inning game last night, a game that Tommy John thought he had won, a game that was tied by the Yankees, and the Angels finally won it in the 10th inning on a home run by Doug DeCinces after some 9th inning heroics by catcher Butch Weiniger. For those folks who would normally be looking at the Chicago Cub ball game slowed up because of weather, welcome to Yankee Stadium, and let's go to Joe Garagiola and veteran coach Jimmy Reese.
Standing next to me is Jimmy Reese, who's a coach with the California Angels, but a roommate of Babe Ruth. And Jimmy, coming back to Yankee Stadium has to bring back a lot of memories.
Well, I should say it does, Joe. I can go back 54 years when I was here in 1930, and I still remember it very vividly.
Did you used to come to the ballpark with the Babe?
Oh, yes, quite a bit. I'd come early, and also Lou Gehrig used to come out early for hitting practice. If he went 0 for 4 one day, he'd want to find out what's wrong with him.
Let's talk about your lineup. Gary Pettis leads it off in center field. What kind of a player is he?
One of the best defensive outfielders I've ever seen in my entire career.
Wow. Fred Lynn bats second. Reggie Jackson bats third, the designated hitter. Can you compare Reggie Jackson with Babe Ruth in any way?
I should say so. He's very comparable to the Babe. Had a great deal of charisma, still has. And there's an aura of excitement the minute he walks on the field.
Just like the Babe, huh?
Exactly.
DeCinces at third base, Downing in left field, Wilfong's at second base, Gritch at first base, Nairn is the catcher, and Schofield is shortstop. How good a player?
He's a fine defensive player right now, and he's going to get better as he goes along.
Jimmy, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Joe.
Jimmy Reese.
Well, right now, the pitcher, Phil Niekro, 46 years young, with a brilliant earned run average of 1 and a record of 6-1. His only defeat at the hands of Milwaukee when he lost 1-0. That's how tough he has been.
Talking to him about his starts, I said, why a good start this year when you should have good starts all the time with a knuckleball? And he said the knuckleball came to him sooner this spring because the Yankees were trying to find a catcher who could catch him. So they were auditioning Cerrone and Weiniger, and they forced Niekro to throw his knuckleball sooner in spring training, and that meant when the season started, he had his knuckleball earlier, and then he's off to the good start.
Off to a great start, 4-0 in April, 6-1 for the year, and working now on Gary Pettis and the knuckler high, ball 1. We should also say, to quote Jimmy Reese, remember what he said? As fine an outfielder as he has ever seen.
What a compliment, huh?
Right, 1-1. In fact, Gary Pettis good enough, as you see Jimmy Reese sitting next to Rod Carew in the Padre dugout. He's so good, he pushed Freddie Lynn over to right field. The Yankees with Omar Marino in center field. Ground ball just fair. smothered on down the line, and by the time Winfield picks it up, they've got Pettis hung up, and the flip back and tag at first. Gary Pettis, I believe, thought it was a ground rule double.
A fan reached over, and he thought that someone had touched it, but first base umpire said no way. He had motioned safe all the way. The fan did not get his hand on the ball. He gets into the corner past Mattingly. Watch the umpire. He motions safe. You can see the fan reaching over, and Winfield just gets it into the infield, and it's an easy out. It's a mistake that a rookie will make, and the manager will talk to him tomorrow, and he simply will say to him, don't umpire. Don't ever umpire. If it's a ground rule double, they will tell you, just run the play out.
So with Mattingly making the eventual put out on Gary Pettis, who confusedly thought it was a ground rule double, we are well underway. And with one out, here is Freddie Lynn with a 6-game hitting streak. The dancer, as Jim Gilliam once called the knuckleball thrown by Hoyt Wilhelm, and I guess I've never heard it put better. 2-0 the count.
Ben, the pregame show, paid tribute to Charlie Lau, who, by the way, in addition to his hitting instructions, he said there's 2 theories about catching a knuckleball, but unfortunately none of them work.
No. High foul, twisting off third and out of play. The Yankees defensively on the infield, Mattingly, Randolph, Robertson, and Hara. Piniella, Moreno, and Winfield in the outfield, and Butch Weiniger behind the plate.
You'll see a lot of knuckleballs, but especially with 2 strikes, he throws the one and says, here it comes, I don't know where it's going.
There it is. And we know where it's going, around the infield. So Freddie Lynn is badly fooled on the knuckleball. 1 away. Interestingly enough, in comparing the 2 pitchers today, neither man was an instantaneous success. But before we talk about the pitchers, all eyes on the arrival of Reggie Jackson, who celebrated his 38th birthday last night and struck out 3 times. If you call that celebrating. 4-1. So 46-year-old Phil Niekro, 38-year-old Reggie Jackson.
Reggie talks about how well he hits the knuckleball, and you can't argue with him because he hit one of Charlie Huff's into the center field seats. Charlie's got a good one.
The ability to hit the knuckleball means you really have to wait on the ball. Otherwise, you're in trouble if you commit yourself early. As good a hitter, I guess, as I saw in past years, was Duke Snyder, who's in the Hall of Fame now. He could wait on that knuckleball about as good as anyone.
Same way catching it. You can't go out and meet it. You have to. Walker Cooper always says you fondle it.
2-1. All 3, 3-1. Greg Kosk behind the plate, Ted Hendry, then you have Drew Coble and Jim Evans. The Yankees and the Angels, game 2 of their series. And Reggie takes those double 4s and trots them down to first.
You might note the glove that Weiniger is using to catch it. It's the big one, but not as big as most of them. It's almost like 2 pieces of leather, and the theory is it's like a tweezer. You just want to have it hit the glove, and it'll close automatically as soon as it hits the glove. You can see it.
First time I ever saw a glove that big was when Paul Richards was connected with Atlanta, and they had Hoyt Wilhelm, and all of a sudden we called it, for want of a description, a waffle glove. He's got a big waffle there. And here's Doug DeCinces, who had that home run last night to win for the Angels. Ball 1. For Doug, 5 of those 7 home runs have come on the road. Strike. 1-1 to count to DeCinces. Just the start of the ball game. We were talking about Reggie Jackson's 44. You see Phil Niekro's 35. That uniform number will be retired by Atlanta. Ted Turner is going to erect a statue outside of Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium in Niekro's honor. The same Ted Turner who let Niekro go because he won just 1 game in his last 8 starts last year. They tell me the statue is going to cost about $150,000, and it'll be in good company. It'll be near Henry Aaron's statue. It'll be August the 6th. And the Yankees are due to be off that day, so that's how they can tie in the salute to Niekro. There goes Jackson, and it's fouled away.
Didn't get a chance, but in talking to John McNamara, what he said, Vin, was with 2 strikes, he knows Niekro's going to give it that extra knuckleball, which makes it doubly tough for the catcher, and he'll be running most of the time with 2 strikes. And, of course, McNamara now wants the umpires to make Niekro stop, because that's one of the reasons that he gets that ball up there in 1.2. He really comes to a quick stop. Look at there.
You know, in talking about Rene Latchman, who was the one who first timed Niekro 1.2, Jeff Zahn claims that he has been timed in 1.1 and 1.2. So you have 2 fellows who really get rid with the runner going, and it's fouled away.
It really helps a catcher to get that ball in a hurry, and you can see that Niekro, in addition to coming to a quick stop, if a stop at all, is also stopping different places. One time at the letters, one time at the belt. You know, he's been around the block. He just didn't fall off the truck.
No, and there have been 10 attempts at stolen bases on Niekro, and Weiniger has thrown out 7 of the 10. A reminder, if and when the elements relent, why, naturally, the Chicago ball game will be brought to those folks who are planning to view that game. And the knuckleball gets to Sensei, and Niekro strikes out 2, and at the end of half an inning, no runs, 1 hit, a man left. The Angels, nothing, and the Yankees coming up.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. We don't really eat when we should or what we should, so I usually take a Rolaids.
For acid indigestion, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Wanted? What for?
Shave off that beard. Not with good news. Not with Bic. The Schick disposable sharper than good news and beats Bic for overall performance.
Great. Now why am I wanted?
To take me dancing, Joe Montana.
The Schick disposable beats them both.
Bottom of the first inning, the Angels turned away on a base hit and a walk, but 2 strikeouts hammered them. Here's the way the Yankees stack up, with Willie Randolph leading off at second base, and Toby Harrell will be at third. Dave Winfield will be in right field, with Don Baylor the DH. Lou Piniella will be in left field. Don Mattingly will be the first baseman. Butch Weiniger behind the plate. Andre Robertson returns to shortstop, and making a rare start of late, but back in center field, Omar Moreno. And on the mound, Jeff Zahn, and here's where the Angels look.
The defense for the Angels, they will have the Sensei at the third base. Schofield, and what a young player he is. His father, former major leaguer Ducky Schofield, signed with the Cardinals in Pittsburgh and the Yankees. Wilfong is at second base. Gritch will be at first base. Nairn is the catcher. The outfield, Downing, Pettis, and Lynn. And if you heard Jimmy Reese give the lineup, in fact, there are some people talking Gold Glove for Pettis already. He's made some just unbelievable catches. Zahn is on the mound. A dart thrower moves the ball around. It'll take you a while to break in the glove catching him, but he wins games.
Jeff Zahn might throw 60% changeups. He is that kind of a pitcher. And he is a story of age overpowering what should be good reason and sense. Zahn, for instance, when he was 30 years old, had a grand total of 6 victories in the big leagues. At 30, here he is. He's 37 years old, and his record is 100 wins, 100 losses. So he has really fought the tough battle at the advanced age as far as baseball is concerned, or professional sports, at 37. He'll be pitching to Willie Randolph, who has an 8-game hitting streak, followed by Toby Harrah and then Dave Winfield. Zahn's slider, and that was his first pitch. He'll throw that a lot. He has a pretty good sinking fastball. He'll throw a curveball occasionally to a left-handed batter, and that's about it. There's a change.
You usually see a lot of good plays with a pitcher like Zahn because you know he's around the plate, hitters are hitting it, and infielders and outfielders are ready to make the play.
2-1 to count to Willie Randolph. Randolph, the spearhead of a Yankee attack. The Yankees are not a running team. In fact, they've amassed a grand total of only 13 stolen bases this year. Fouled away. And the Angels point to the home run. The Angels lead the league in home runs with 39. And it's interesting to break the Angels down. In games where they hit home run, they're 17-8. In a game where the Angels failed to hit a home run, they've only won 4 and lost 11. Ground ball along third, foul ball. Doug DeCinces there. Of course, the Angels are a lot stronger as long as Doug's back holds up. Last year at one stage, the Angels had 15 players on the disabled list. And there are quite a few fallen Angels from 1984. Don Ozzie, Ken Forsh, Bruce Keeson, Rick Burleson, Darrell Sconyers, Ellis Valentine. The Yankees have their own disabled list. And that's whacked into right field. Base hit. Fred Lynn over to field it. So Randolph has hit in 9 straight as he singles to right to open up the bottom of the first. And the batter now will be Toby Harrop.
That's the way you have to hit, Zahn. Go to the opposite field. What he wants you to do is what Randolph did on the pitch before that when he tried to pull the off-speed pitch and hit the little ground ball. It happened to be fouled towards the sensei. You go to the opposite field, you're waiting longer, and you have more success. You got a hit and run combine up there now with Harrow who can handle a bat and Randolph on.
Randolph has 2 stolen bases and has been caught 3 times. But what's really interesting, no one has stolen a base on Zahn yet. As we said, he comes to the plate as quickly as Niekro. He does not have a lot of flourish or a big high kick. He gets that ball to his catcher. And there they go on a pitch out, and they've got him hung up. The throw to first, they've got him. Well, you try to get a jump, and he'll burn you every time. So Randolph hung out to dry.
He started to go on that first pitch. You knew you had a hit-and-run combine, and he did get back, but this time he broke, and you could see it was a hit-and-run play because he's watching to see if the bat could get on the ball, but it was too late because Booney had pitched out on him, or Nairn, rather.
Interesting note, and that is that no one has stolen a base yet on Zahn this year. Off-speed pitch away, 2-0.
A guy like him is a delight to catch. He gets the ball to you in a hurry, and he also gives you the luxury of calling a pitch out. You don't put him in a jackpot when you call a pitch out and nothing happens.
2 balls and no strikes. Line drive, base hit into left field, so that pickoff turns out to be very big as Hara follows with a single to left, and it'll bring up Dave Winfield. We're talking about the Angel DL. We should mention the Yankee DL. Mike Armstrong along with May, Cerrone, Montefusco, and Murray. Montefusco is fortunate to be alive. He was in an automobile accident, rear-ended. Severe whiplash.
Saw him in the clubhouse, had that big brace on his neck.
There's Dave Winfield. He's a hot hitter now. He's had 7 hits in his last 15 at-bats. That lifts his average to 276. Off speed for a strike, 0-1.
Then you would think that they would be playing Winfield to pull against Zahn, but Pettis, the center fielder, is right in line with the base. You could draw a line from the catcher and you'd cut second base in half. See him right there, right? Look at the room in right center and left center, which is a tribute to Winfield.
And there's a fastball. You could wait around all day for that pitch. And finally, Zahn decided to sneak it in there, and he got it.
I think he caught him between hitches. Winfield was fooling with that bat, and Zahn just zipped one right by him.
Dave muttering to himself, how in the world could I take that one? And standing at first, Toby Harrop, held on by Bobby Grich. 0-2. Ground foul, he jammed him. So Winfield fouling that one down off his left foot. And timeout as he hobbles a bit. Dave Winfield, who came off the campus of the University of Minnesota and was such a great athlete that he was drafted in 3 sports. He and Atlanta's Bob Horner are the only 2 ball players without any minor league experience. How long were you in the minors, Joe, before you came on?
I was there 3 years.
Well, that's pretty quick. In those days.
In those days.
0-2. Ball 1.
love to watch these pitchers who really spot the ball. Now he's 1-2, and I'd be willing to bet that it's going to still be his pitch to hit. Zano control his pitch right here and try to make the pitch a decision 2-2. Real cat and mouse when you got a big slugger up there.
And that's line to center, but it's hanging for Pettis. In fact, it started to take off, and Gary had to reach up to get it. So all 3 balls well hit. Randolph single to right, but was picked off on that busted hit and run play. Harris singles to left, and Winfield lines out. And the batter now is Don Baylor.
Well, if there's one place you want Winfield to hit, and Baylor for that matter, is straightaway center field or left center field, where it's 430 in left center and 417 in dead center.
Strike to Baylor. Baylor hitting .248. He has 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. Baylor wanted to be an everyday player last year, and for quite some time he was not. He drives it to right and pretty deep. Back goes Lynn to the track at the wall. He's got it. So Baylor, who led the Yankees last year in homers, RBIs, and average, goes to right. Tomorrow, a preview about Macho Man on NBC. Here's a look.
Sports World makes big news. Undefeated Hector Macho Camacho battles Rafael Williams. Is the Macho Man with the devastating hands ready for this Latin American champion? A showdown inside the ring that will make headlines. NBC Sports is big news in May.
In this rapidly changing world, even the brightest and best manager in the company may need more than a loyal staff to run a smooth operation. For when headquarters calls and pressure builds, it becomes harder to keep things rolling without running into mix-ups, losing control of the operation, and falling behind. For rapid improvement, a manager could use a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer. For smoother scheduling, better planning, and greater productivity. It can help a manager excel and become a big wheel in the company. The IBM personal computer. See it at a store near you.
Now, discover the quick response and smooth performance of new Exxon Extra, our highest octane unleaded gasoline ever. Its extra boost of octane quiets the knocks, silences the pings for extra smooth performance. New Exxon Extra, quality you can count on.
There you see the way the Yankees stack up behind Phil Niekro. And by the way, Niekro has won 5 Gold Gloves, so you have an extra defender right there in the middle of the diamond. It'll be Brian Downing, Rob Wilfong, and Bobby Grich coming up for the Angels here in the second inning. No score, but we've had a lot going on. 3 hits in the game up here. No runs, 1 hit for the Angels, 2 strikeouts and a walk, and there were 2 hits and a line drive out and a pickoff in the first inning against the Yankees. So Brian Downing with the count 0-1 as we start the second inning. Downing hitting .239. Boy, he doesn't get cheated up there. He swings from the heel.
Watch this one, though. 2 strikes and no balls. He'll skywrite this one.
1-2.
You know, when you batted against a knuckleballer, you said if he throws you anything besides a knuckleball, even if it's out of the strike zone, go for it. You were swinging at everything.
2-2. What was the advice they gave Frank Howard when the big guy first came to the Dodgers? They said, swing as hard as you can in case you hit something. 2-2 the count to Brian Downing. Line to right field coming up is Winfield, but he'll play it on a hop, so we're busy. That's hit number 2 plus a walk for the Angels. Nothing to show for it yet. And the batter will be Rob Wilfong.
I asked Weininger about the 2-strike knuckleball pitch, and here's what he had to say.
Number 9. That was one of the first things Phil told me in spring. He told me when he gets 2 strikes or 1-2 on a hitter,
what he's going to do is we're going to go with the knuckleball 90% of the time, and he's going to rear back, and he's going to throw it as hard as he really can. Normally he throws 3/4, but with 2 strikes, he'll come right over the top with it. And that's the one he said he has no idea in the world where it's gone, and I have no idea, so I have to be on my toes at all times.
Well, they'll really have to be on their toes with Wilfong because, among other things, he is a great bunter. I think somebody sat down and figured it out that he has 71 bunt hits, and he added 2 more this year, so he has 73. He's led the American League in sacrifices, so we'll see if they have something going on here.
They got something going on, and Niekro throwing to first base is not just throwing over there for a commercial to let them know that he knows they're there. He's trying to pick them off.
As far as stolen bases are concerned, Downing is 0 for 1. Meanwhile, Hara is in on the grass at third, but Mattingly can't commit since he's holding the corner on Downing.
Even with Niekro, you have the luxury of a pitch out, and right now I'd pitch out.
1-1 off the rubber.
Well, that tells me there's no pitch out on, though. Because with the pitch out on, you want him to throw the ball, and you want the guy to run.
2-1 to count.
I'd have had him 2 balls and 1 strike the same way, but I'd have looked smart calling for a pitch out, wouldn't I? Same count.
That's an interesting point, though. As soon as he backed off the rubber, you knew the pitch out was off.
Was not. Was off. Here's the manager's delight, 2-1 now. What a move. See how quick he does that? Young pitchers, you can study this guy.
7 out of 10 caught stealing against him. No one has a stolen base against Zahn. There's ball 3. Of course, Niekro, like any knuckleball pitcher, if he gets behind a lot, he bows to the temptation of trying to sneak a fastball in, and he used to get burned over in the National League when he did that. He'd get burned over here, too. Especially against a team with a runner going. There's ball 4. So they play run and hit. Remember, this is the #1 home run hitting team in the American League. The Angels have 39. So Niekro has allowed 2 hits, 2 walks. He's also struck out 2, so he's balanced his books. And here's Bobby Grich.
I think if I read the infielders right, Randolph was pointing to Niekro that if a ball is hit back to him, Robertson will be covering, which is kind of unusual with a right-hand batter up there. It usually switch off. Right-hand batter, the shortstop holds his position most of the time.
Grich has been slumping as he takes that knuckleball for a strike, 0-1. In fact, he's only had 3 hits in his last 18 trips. So you wonder about whether he would sacrifice. But if they have him sacrificed, then you get down to Narron and Schofield's spot.
Weiniger has not dropped the ball yet. And I marvel at that. Because you wake up in the middle of the night seeing knuckleballs. You answer the phone, you see a knuckleball. Whatever you do, knuckleball. No, I hate that pitch.
You know, there's one thing. Niekro doesn't like it either. It's so difficult. Would you believe in all of baseball history, Phil Niekro is #1. He has thrown the most wild pitches. 201 trips to the backstop made by catchers in his career, but only 1 this year so far. Knuckleball is lifted to right field. Winfield has to go back, and the runners are going to tag. Downing at second is on his way, and Winfield's throw will be cut off at shortstop by Robertson. So Grich, a fly ball to right field to put runners at first and third with 1 out, and Jerry Narron coming up. Is there a theory at all about going the other way with a knuckleball like you would with a sinker?
Both as a hitter and as a catcher. It's the only way. You go the other way. He throws it and you're heading back to the backstop. That's why I marvel at Rick Farrell, man. Can you imagine catching Dutch Leonard, Johnny Nigley, Mickey Hafner? Who was the 4th one? Roger Wolf.
Roger Wolf.
Imagine that. Every day you had to wake up and catch a knuckleballer. Poor Rick had to talk to himself.
Well, we'll see now about Niekro talking to Jerry Narron, who was traded to Seattle, then joined the Angels as a free agent before the start of the '82 season. Played for the Yankees in '79. So Jerry at the plate with first and third, 1 out, no score in the second. Ball 1. 1-0.
Here's where a pitcher, a knuckleball pitcher, has to have complete confidence in this catcher. He'll not throw it with the same confidence unless he knows the guy behind the plate's going to catch it.
Ground ball sharply to short, and on the bag is Robertson, doubles him at first, and Necro's out of the jam. The double play 6-3, Robertson getting the put out and the assist, a base hit, a walk, and a man left. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score.
The final basket. Match point. The last lap. Right now, your body's thirsty for more than water. It needs Thirst Aid. Gatorade.
Gatorade is Thirst Aid for a deep down body thirst.
When you exercise, you lose more than water. You lose potassium, minerals, fluids. Gatorade puts it all back fast. It's no ordinary thirst quencher. It's Thirst Aid.
Gatorade is Thirst Aid for a deep down body thirst.
Gene Shalit. Is that a Ford Tempo you're driving?
You bet it is.
Why Tempo?
Well, I screened it.
And your review?
Tempo, a moving vehicle produced by Ford. I was carried away by its easy handling.
Easy handling?
And front-wheel drive for good traction, whatever the weather.
Very good.
And those lines, so dramatically modern, so smartly cast.
You know that Tempo's now outselling all the imports in America?
Of course, Tempo has star quality.
Okay, Gene, you can take your mustache off now. Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Denorex shampoo and conditioner versus Head & Shoulders regular formula.
This side, I feel a tingling sensation, which is very good. And this side, I don't feel that sensation at all.
Look what you used.
Well, I'm surprised. Denorex is the one that tingled, and Head & Shoulders didn't.
Each shampoo has one medicine for dandruff. Denorex adds an extra anti-itch medicine, and Denorex adds conditioner, too.
My hair is in great shape. The girls might like that. I'm switching from Head & Shoulders to Denorex.
Denorex, dandruff shampoo that conditions, too.
Sports World makes big news. Hector Macho Camacho battles Raphael Williams, and the good old boys are at it again, riding into racing history at over 200 miles per hour. Come on down to the Alabama Talladega 500. NBC Sports makes big news in May.
A reminder tomorrow, NBC Sports World, the WBC Junior Lightweight Championship, and it'll be Hector Camacho, and he'll be going up against Raphael Williams. We'll also have the exciting NASCAR action, the Alabama Talladega 500, tomorrow right here on NBC Sports World.
Got a great name for a fighter, Macho Camacho.
Macho Camacho. Lou Piniella will start it off, followed by Don Mattingly and then Butch Weiniger. With a home run last night off Tommy John, he's hit in 6 of his last 7 games. So the only active batting instructor in the game, Lou Piniella. Strike. Piniella hitting .295. That was his first home run of the year last night. 5 RBIs. Ground ball to the right side. Rob Wilfong is there. Over to Bobby Grich. 1 away. We are still at the hands of the elements in Chicago, so the Chicago-Houston game held up with Rick Russell and Bob Nepper to be the pitchers. If and when the weather relents, why, we will send you that ball game if you are in that particular viewing area scheduled to receive it. Meanwhile, it's the Yankees and the Angels at Yankee Stadium, and here's Don Mattingly. Boy, are they high on this fella here in New York.
Well, they should be. He knows what to do with the bat. I like left-handed hitters like this who, when they get a curveball, they follow it all the way in. That just almost shows the pitcher, hey, is that your best curveball? Throw me another one.
There's a note about Mattingly that somewhat shockingly reflects what's going on in New York. There's a bouncer to the right side, and Wilfong will get him. Here's the note. Mattingly homered May the 7th. That ended a Yankee streak of going 103 innings without a home run. Now, you think of the Yankees, the name's synonymous with a home run. Back in 1975, Bill Burden's last 13 games as a manager, the Yankees failed to hit a home run. He was replaced by Billy Martin, and in Martin's first game as a manager, Roy White, the coach, hit a home run to break the drought. And that was how lucky Billy was. The Bronx Bombers are suddenly not. And here is Butch Weiniger. Amazing how the complexion of a ball club will change so drastically as this club. I mean, when they said Bombers, Another background note as we hit a big hopper to DeCinces, and Doug will throw him out. You realize the Yankees went 308 games without being shut out back in the 30s? Wow. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Fish are getting cancer in more of our rivers and lakes. Scientists are close to the cause, but what does it all mean for people? Go where the news is. NBC Nightly News with Connie Chung, Saturday.
Hey, guys, I'm back.
Catch anything, Riley?
Yeah, caught this granddaddy of a fish. But when I got him in the boat, he says, I'll give you 3 wishes if you throw me back.
A talking fish?
Well, it was hot. I was thirsty, so I wished for a nice, cold Stroh's beer. And there it was. Tasted so good, I wished for another one.
2 wishes, 2 Strohs.
And what'd you with the 3rd wish?
Hey, would I forget my friends?
From one beer lover to another, Strohs.
Introducing the ITT Extra Personal Computer to help America work smarter with cash flow and color and spreadsheets and profits. From Wall Street to Main Street, the new ITT Extra is one of the best personal computers next to the human mind. So people like Julie and you can simply work smarter. Work smart, America, with the new ITT Extra Personal Computer.
For 7 days, the good old guys want to sell an Oldsmobile every single minute. Come to our Car Minute Super Sale and get a special low price on America's top-selling Cutlass Supreme and Cutlass Sierra. Save on every Delta 88, new front-wheel drive 98, Olds Forenza, and Toronado. A Car Minute for 7 days. That's more than 10,000 Oldsmobiles. So choose your Oldsmobile, pick your minute, and get the deal you've been waiting for.
From your good old guy.
Lords of the Ring Inside Pro Wrestling starts Tuesday at 6.
We have 2 innings in the books here at Yankee Stadium. The Angels, no runs, 2 hits, no errors. The Yankees, no runs, 2 hits, no errors. Phil Niekro with a record of 6-1 going against Jeff Zahn, who is 4-3. Niekro at 46, Zahn at 37. Needless to say, 2 veterans. Schofield followed by Pettis, and then Lynn will test him in the 3rd inning. Willie Randolph takes care of Dick Schofield's first swing on the first pitch, and just like that, 1 down, and the batter will be Gary Pettis. This is an interesting day, this May the 19th. May the 19th, 1964. 20 years ago today, this man was sent down to the minors. He had come up in April with the Braves, and he couldn't cut it. So 20 years ago, he was sent back, a reject. And now look at it. Line to left field. Coming up for it is Piniella. Goes to his knees, can't hold on to it. Pettis will make a turn and hold on. Then the throw gets loose, and Mattingly finally runs it down. Boy, Joe, I'll tell you one thing, you had better not blink here. Everybody's first ball swinging.
It's almost like we got the wrong speed on those records going. Piniella thought he might have a chance for it, just fell about a half-inch short, and the second spot in his Angels lineup, very important because Pettis with great speed. I know Rod Carew, when he was batting second, said that he had to try to anticipate when Pettis would be running, and he was taking a lot more pitches. Lynn now batting second, 1 man out, but Pettis a definite threat to run.
Is he ever? He's 14 out of 18. In fact, he has stolen 14 of the 23 Angel steals. So if anybody's going to go, it's the kid center fielder now, and Niekro will get some pressure. Off speed, squirted back to Niekro. He goes to Robertson, and he goes to Mattingly. See you later. I mean, are both teams double parked? At the end of 2.5 innings, without the slightest waste of time. Angels nothing, Yankees nothing.
Quaker State, America's favorite motor oil, announces $1 million giveaway. Look for this ad in your Sunday paper. Scratch here, and if what you see matches the poster at your participating Quaker State dealer, congratulations, you're a millionaire. In any case, you win with a rebate up to $2.40 on 12 cans or bottles. Quaker State's $1 million giveaway. Only an oil this good makes an offer this good.
You know, one of the best things about being an ex-big leaguer is getting freebies to the game. Call the front office, bingo. And once these fans recognize me, I probably won't even have to pay for my light beer from Miller. Down it! I love them. These fans know I drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Good seats, huh?
You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Come on.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Good seats, eh, buddy? He missed the tag! He missed the tag!
There we were in no man's land when the moving truck died in the sun and the sand. So since it seemed we'd be a while, we set up house and we waited in style. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. Now I know Ryder and some newer. They're tougher, they're strong, and driving a bargain sure didn't pay. So next time I'll think this way, it's Ryder or it's wrong.
The American tradition continues with an old-fashioned doubleheader and baseball's best of the West. The Dodgers battle the Mets. Then the world champion Orioles take on the Angels. Or the Cardinals face the Braves and the Royals clash with the Red Sox. The teams are here. The memories are waiting. Next Saturday.
Doubleheader action next week. The Dodgers and the Mets, the Cardinals, Atlanta Braves, Baltimore Orioles and the Angels, where we'll be the Kansas City Royals and the Boston Red Sox. You might have seen a young, impressive Marine lieutenant. There he is, having a time of his life with a pretty girl and a hot dog in a ballgame. But more than that, that is young Michael McNamara, Lieutenant Michael McNamara of the United States Marine Corps, son of John McNamara. Squirted foul. He just received his bars recently at Quantico, Joe. There is his proud father. And you know, he got into the biggest jam, did the young lieutenant, in officers candidate school. In this day and age of, let's see, Quaaludes, cocaine, LSD, PCP, marijuana, he got into a very big jam. That's a pop fly in the infield, and it'll be Bobby Grich. Okay, almost played it the other way. He got into the jam because they found in his locker not LSD or PCP or cocaine or marijuana. He got into a jam because they found a bag of M&Ms in his locker. And I said, well, you know who played here for years? And he said, who? I said, two guys that they call M&M, Mantle and Maris. Great kid. We're proud to have the opportunity to salute him on the air. And his father. Drag bunt, foul. He left it behind the plate.
A lot of times when you're watching that, you're always saying that ball, he should have caught that ball. But as a catcher, as soon as that hitter shortens up to bunt that ball, you're breaking towards the infield because you want to make a play on the fair ball. And when you break that way, it sure is hard to make a U-turn.
I wonder if you were looking at a fastball pitcher the first time around, you might want to just look at him a little bit to gauge. But they're not doing that with knuckleballers or with off-speed pitchers like Zahn because they're throwing strikes.
That's the key right there. They're throwing strikes. There's no sense taking anything you think you like. Go get it. Zahn, 23 pitches, 16 strikes.
Little bouncer over the mound behind the bag. Flagged by Schofield, but no play.
He showed some range, didn't he?
Boy, and Ducky did a 360 behind the bag and then wisely held on. Because that's the kind of play where when you do a complete turn as he does, you throw it away. Here's another look.
Watch this. He comes a long way, and he comes up with the ball, and he realizes Moreno is running, and he wouldn't have had a play, but he sure showed a lot of range. He's about, good 15, 20 feet to the other side of the bag.
Well, we were talking before about the pressure that was on Phil Niekro as to Gary Pettis stealing. Now the pressure is on Zahn with Moreno. Remember, Omar stole 96 bases for the Pirates in 1980. He's 5 out of 6 this year. So let's see if they have a play on with Willie Randolph. Strike. Randolph single to right in the first inning. He's hit in 9 straight. One thing the Yankees got out of the habit of last year with Billy Martin, they rarely sacrificed. I mean, they just didn't bunt at all. Not looking here, of course, with 1 out, but the thought was the bunt went out the window last year.
Billy would run the guys and play hit and run, just like Weaver made the bunt obsolete. He liked the 3-run inning.
Yeah. A reminder, once the field, Wrigley Field in Chicago, is ready for that ball game with Houston, why that particular network will see that ball game as scheduled. Chicago-Houston, Rick Russell and Rob Nepper. 1-1 the count here. No score. We're in the bottom of the third, the Angels and the Yankees. Last year, 11 runners tried to steal against Zahn, and 9 of the 11 were caught. No one has been able to steal on him this year. Now, this is really an interesting thing.
Moreno doesn't have a very big lead. You're looking for him to run at all times.
Marino is a little rusty. In fact, he had asked to be traded if he didn't get a chance to play more, and when Ken Griffey was hurt Tuesday night, he made his first start in 3 weeks.
You could really see with that shot him concentrating on Michaels. If I were catching right now, I'd really look for him to run. He's making sure he just checked with the coach.
And there he goes. They got him picked off, and Grich dropped the ball while in the act of throwing. Joe, you had him all set.
The cameras did a great job that time, and if a catcher could have those cameras, he'd never make a mistake. You could see Moreno checking with the first base coach to make sure that he had the sign. What a great piece of work, guys.
And Bobby Grich has him dead to rights, except as Bobby went to transfer the ball to throw, he dropped it. And he will draw an error. Strike. So no stolen base. Error charge to Grich. Boy, in this kind of a game, that could be a dynamite play. Randolph trying to pick him up. No score, bottom of the third. 2-2. Ground ball pulled to third. DeCinces juggles and he drops it. That ball probably took a bad hop because it looked like he was playing it sideways off his left hip.
It was not a true hop. Watch him because he has great hands. Now he looks like right there, hit him right on the heel of the glove, and that thing was just hot once it got to the glove, and you can see the disgust of DeCinces. So another error, and here's another look at it. Watch it hit the heel of his glove. He kind of screened it, but he just had a terrible time with it. It was not a true hop. Should have made the play, though, obviously.
The Angels had 4 double plays last night with sinker baller Tommy John. Here's Toby Harrah, ball 1. Harrah single to left in the first inning. So Zahn is in trouble when he shouldn't be at all.
Might just add that Zahn has not shown any emotion at all. Sign of a good pitcher. He's not angry or upset at any of his infielders because he knows they'll make a good play for him just as well as he made the bad play here.
1 ball and no strikes. 2 on, 1 out on the third. No score. Two and 0. The count to Toby Harrah. Moreno, who was picked off first, reached second when Grich dropped the ball while trying to throw. And then Randolph hit a tricky hopper and DeCinces couldn't glove it for an error. And the Yankees are in business with 1 out. Harrah and Winfield on deck. Now he's really in trouble. 3-0. Zahn this year, and for that matter for his career, is neither a strikeout pitcher nor a walker. His most walks in a game this year, only 3, and he did that 3 times. Most strikeouts in a game, only 4. In there, fastball. Let me ask you, with his kind of stuff, and you just seen the fastball 3-0, if you're McNamara, you have your infield and double play depth, and if you are Yogi, are you going to let Harrah hit? Or are you going to have the runners go 3-1? What would you do?
No, I'd hold the runners and let him hit. Because I want Winfield up there.
3-1. Runners hold, and the change missed. So the bases are loaded. Imagine a 3-1 change.
He couldn't give him the fastball because you had to feel it. He was sitting on it, and Zahn even got that one up, and Harrah was going to make sure it was a good pitch because you want the big guy up there now. Now the battle begins. Here it is, David and Goliath.
So Dave Winfield with the bases loaded and 1 out, and Zahn would be less than human if he didn't think, why am I in all this trouble? I picked the guy off. I got him dead. I got a ground ball to a fine fielding third baseman. Now I walk a man, and I'm up to my hips in trouble. Number 3 man in the American League in RBIs behind Cooper and Rice last year. Had a chance to clean up. Pops it in the air, foul. And there is Jerry Narron to put it away. Now, let me ask you this, and I know it drives the fans crazy. Jeff Zahn just walked the batter. Why would Winfield go up and swing at the first pitch?
Because he was looking for a pitch, and he got it and didn't hit it. He had to be looking for that pitch because it was an off-speed pitch. He just didn't hit it. And he pops it up. I mean, Zahn is not going to walk Winfield, and you wouldn't want Winfield to be up to getting a base on balls. Even the guy before him walked.
So let's see what Baylor, the DH, does now. He flied to right in the first inning. Fastball, but he missed. Not by much, but he just showed it to him. 1 ball and no strikes.
Now, right now, if you're the hitter, play hitter, he missed with the fastball, the outside part of the plate. If you're Baylor, you got to say, he's going to give me an off-speed pitch, and if he does, I'm going to jump all over it.
Well, holding the ball along the seams, at least for that moment. 1-0 pitch. Nubbed, foul to the right, and the count 1-1. When he throws his sinker, and that's a big bread and butter pitch, along with the slider and the change. When he throws his sinker, it's almost like a cut fastball. He puts all of the pressure on the index finger and no pressure on the middle finger. That's how Jeff gets that ball to sink. Ironically, facing a California MVP back in 1979. High pop foul down the right field line and slicing out of play.
You have a great view when he's got that ball behind him, but you notice that he held the ball the same way both times, because that's one of the spots that the coach looks for if he's going to try to steal a sign. Obviously, when he gets in the glove, he can still change the grip on it, but if he starts to change it right there, he's got it the same way every time. Now, if he starts to change it there, that's when you can call a pitch. Just keep in mind, now, he hasn't done anything with it yet.
You notice the pressure is always on that index
finger right there. He's loose with that middle finger.
Let's see if he's going to try and throw the sinker. 1-2. Yes, sir. Fouled away. Well, unfortunately for the hitter, he doesn't have eyes like our cameras.
Yeah, but if the coach had the sign, you'd say he can pick it up. How does he give it to the hitter? That's very simple. If the coach's arm is straight, for example, it would be sinker. If it was bent, it would be a breaking ball. Simple way to get the sign to the hitter, but it's tough picking it up. You'd have to make sure. You'd watch it again now, and you see if he's got the same grip. Let's see. Yeah, you couldn't be sure.
1-2. Ground ball to the hole. Backhanded by Schofield over to second to Wilfong, and he's out of the jam. So despite 2 errors, an infield single and a walk.
Mr. Oakner, time for your conference call.
Get me Jackson at Peoria and find Bromley.
Today, small businesses need phone systems that do more than handle calls. So ITT created System 3100.
Where's Bromley?
His calls were forwarded. I'll page him.
The ITT System 3100 is a digital communication system that can do big things for small business, even handle data.
Mr. Oakner, it's the boss.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. No, dear.
When you buy a new car, you want to keep it looking new. And that's easy with Armor All Protectant. A scientific formula that took a polymer chemist 10 years to develop. It helps keep rubber, vinyl, leather, and plastic looking new. So even though you can't keep your car from getting old, you can keep it from looking old. Armor All. It's science, but it works like magic.
For years now, we've been kidding Jim here about his eyesight. The fact is that Jim has the eyes of an eagle.
Thanks, Boog.
Why, he's one of the first guys to spot light beer from Miller. Saw right away that light tastes great and it's less filling.
Sure, all you have to do is read the label. It says light has 1/3 less calories than a regular beer.
I think you want this, Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
As I was saying, it's the same as the nose on your face.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Oh, I don't believe this.
No No runs, 3 hits, 2 errors for the Angels. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Yankees, as we have 3 innings in the book here in Yankee Stadium in a classic duel between Phil Niekro and Jeff Zahn. They give you an idea of some milestones, huh? Rod Carew looking for 3,000 hits. Jackson getting very close to the 500 home runs. And Niekro's just around the corner from 3,000 strikeouts. Jackson walked in the first inning. Knuckleball hit off the end of the bat slowly to third. Hara is there, guns it to Mattingly in time. You know, Phil Niekro and his brother Joe have combined for a lot of victories in their career. The record for brothers, not Karamazov, would be Jim and Gaylord Perry. They won 529. Phil and Joe have 455 so far. But it means that Joe, who's 39, is going to have to get well into the 40s and probably will.
Phil was talking about that. He said if I could just pitch a couple more years.
In fact, they tell me they have a dream of opposing each other as starters in the All-Star game and opposing each other as starters in a World Series game. Would that be 1-1? 1-1.
And the man who taught him to throw it, his mom and his pop rather, and his mom both watching the game, and that's the last thing he said to me. Say hello to him before he walked out on the field.
They met and had 9 decisions, did the brothers Niekro in the National League. Phil won 5, Joe won 4, and it seems to me that the last home run that Phil Niekro ever hit, there it is. So Joe Niekro's #1 and only against brother Phil. It's strange, too, to compare East versus West in the American League. That missed for ball 4. For instance, the Yankees have lost in double figures, and they have been buried behind the Tigers in the East. The Angels have lost in double figures, and they're in first place.
How about Toronto? They're playing well, and they're really, I mean, you don't hear anything about them.
And what was Yogi was saying, the Yankees won 8 out of 10 and lost half a game.
The Tiger thing is amazing.
Here's the muscle man, Brian Downing, who singled to right field in the second inning. DeCinces at first with 1 out in the 4th, no score. Ball 1.
He's closed his stance against Niekro.
Here's the West. You can see how they are stacked up. Last year, the Chicago White Sox ran away with it by playing above 500. They were only team in the West above 500. At first, Doug DeCinces, 1 out in the 4th, no score. 2-1 to count. And there he is, Lawrence Yogi Berra. 3 times American League MVP, 15 times an All-Star, and involved one way or another in 21 World Series.
I think that every World Series played in New York, Yogi was involved.
Well, now let's see. Besides looking at the MVP winners, Yogi was in 14 as a player, 2 as a manager with the Mets, 2 as a manager with the Yankees, 4 as a Yankee coach, and 1 as a coach of a Met team. So you might be right.
Well, I'm not going back to 1927 and that, you know, when he was born.
2-2.
I mean, you know, his father had to get the papers in order, and with my pop, he'd come over and the whole thing.
2-2. There's a one-hopper banged at second. Randolph feeding Robertson over to Mattingly. Double play. The 3rd double play turned in behind Phil Niekro. Boy, are they sparkling at Yankee Stadium today. And at the end of 3.5 innings, no score.
It never fails. The one thing most people overlook about their cars is the belts. You see, after 4 years, they can go any time. And since today's belts don't show wear, even I can't always tell when just by looking. So if your car's over 4 years old, replace the belts and tell them you want gates. Now, they've been keeping engines cool for over 60 years, even longer than me. Remember, after 4 years, it's time for a change.
I started delivering beer in 1893. At the time, Milwaukee was teaching America how to really brew a quality beer. Well, guess what? Times haven't changed all that much.
This is today's Milwaukee's best, with a smooth old-time taste, old-time quality,
And a real fair old-time price.
Milwaukee's best. It's one of the best deals I've seen around here since 1893.
Introducing Milwaukee's best. Old-time quality at an old-time price.
Watch this truck leap ahead. It's the small pickup that has the jump on all the others. Tough Ford Ranger. While small import trucks have had a 20-year head start, Ford Ranger has jumped to #1 in just 2 years. With features like its V6 engine, most powerful of any small truck, the widest cab of any small truck, and exclusive twin I-beam suspension. No wonder Ford Ranger outsells Chevy S10, Toyota, and Nissan. It's the #1 small truck in America. Yes, America's best-built trucks are built Ford Tough.
Tonight on Saturday Night Live. Will the real Stevie Wonder please grow up? Say Saturday Night Live.
A pitching duel, Phil Niekro and Jeff Zahn, scoreless as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. The Yankees will have Lou Piniella, followed by Don Mattingly and then Butch Weiniger. Zahn has allowed 3 hits, 1 walk. Got in trouble with a couple of errors, but worked his way out of it. And now here's Piniella. Grounded out to the right side to Rob Wilfong in the 2nd inning. Jeff Zahn, 37 years old, with exactly a .500 record in the big league. 100 wins, 100 losses. 4-1. The Angels have had an odd start because it has been so sporadic. Despite the fact they're in first place. Strike. The Angels started out 5-8, and you could put the blame on the pitching. Then they went 13-4, and McNamara saw his club win 5 straight and get into first place. Then they turned around and lost 7 out of 9 when they just completely stopped hitting. The Yankees, they started out at a break-even rate of 6-6, and then they went down the tubes. They not only lost 11 of 13, they were shut out 6 times. 2 times they were shut out back-to-back at home, and then they finally got their act straightened up. Fisted foul away.
That's a great shot from center field with a guy like Zahn, because Jerry Nairn, the catcher, he just flashes signs, really has not been given any targets, and Zahn has been picking his spots. The first 2 pitches right on the outside corner, breaking ball, and then he jammed him with the high fastball. Let's see what he does this time. Now watch Nairn, watch his glove. He'll just wait for the pitch.
1-2. Fouled away, 2nd deck off to the right of the plate. It's still 1-2 to Lou. The Yankees this year have been shut out 8 times. And just to go back to that remarkable spring, from a point in 1931 to a point in 1933, a stretch of 308 games, the Yankees always scored, never shut out. That's when they really were the Bombers. That's pretty hard to believe.
It is.
So far, 2 teams in the American League have not been shut out this year, Baltimore and Toronto. 1-2. Foul the other way, outside of 3rd and down the line.
Every pitch works for him. There is no such thing as a waste pitch. I almost hate that term. The pitch should be there to set your next pitch up. Schofield's coming in to get some glasses. The sun is kind of peeking through here. I like pitchers like Zahn because the infield's ready, and then he really can throw any number of pitches when he's around the plate. He gives you something to go to.
Jeff Zahn is trying to break a little 2-game losing streak as he tries to get his 5th victory. His last start, he gave up 4 runs and lost to Baltimore 4-1. His last victory, he pitched a 3-hitter to beat Seattle, and I guess that's been his best game so far this year. Remember, he spent the early days of the season on the disabled list. He made his first start the middle of the second week of the season, so he was a little bit behind, and he's playing catch-up now. 1-2 to Piniella, no score, bottom of the 4th. Fouled away. So they're taking that sinker and trying to go the other way with it.
Well, he's made a lot of pitches, but only because they foul him off. Zano's is a whole lot like Whitey Ford. I mean, not in stuff, but it's what I call a wholesale pitcher. He'd like to make 3 pitches for 3 outs rather than a strikeout pitcher who at minimum needs 9 pitches for 3 outs. He's trying to wholesale it.
1-2. Missed with the sinker.
I bet you this will be in the strike zone.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Lou Piniella. Got a tough man up there as far as making contact. And Zahn, remember, is not a strikeout pitcher. Line drive, base hit to center. Well, not that you could calculate the odds of a base hit, but you could almost bet the house he was going to make contact. Piniella now needs only 2 more hits to give him 1,700 in his career. It's 4 hits off Zahn. Here's Don Mattingly, who grounded out in the 2nd inning. He's a big ad for home cooking with that stat. Popped it up. Going out for it is Schofield. Coming in is Pettis, and Pettis will run him off the ball. Schofield said, I went into all the trouble of going in to get the sunglasses, and you won't let me use them.
It was good to see because you have 2 rookies, Schofield is shortstop and Pettis, and Schofield was going out until somebody ran him off. And so Pettis, it was his job to run him off, and he did just that.
You realize we're talking about the little duck?
You had to bring it up, right?
Yep.
I remember when they signed his father as a rookie.
Sure. Here's Butch Weiniger, but they're going to keep an eye on Piniella at first.
Piniella likes the delayed steal. He doesn't have great speed, but he knows how to run the bases, and if they let up on him, he'll take the extra base.
Weiniger's problem is to stay healthy for a whole year. He's really been unlucky in that department. Ball 1. Last year was the 3rd straight year that Weiniger was out of the lineup with injuries. He eventually became the Yankees' regular catcher last year, and his average never fell below 290. And he finished up hitting 296. He was a 3rd baseman. He was moved to catcher in high school. Big chopper in the hole. There's Schofield, the short way for 1, and that's all.
He made that play look fairly easy, and yet he got over in the hole. It was a big hop, granted, but he still had to cover some ground. Look where that ball is. I don't like the way he plays.
The Angels have to be a frustrated ball club when you realize they wanted 2 particular players, I was always led to believe, in the winter. One was Goose Gossage, whom they just missed getting, and the other was Julio Cruz, who would give them a lot of stolen bases. And then they traded, because they didn't get Gossage, they traded Tim Foley. Ground ball, one-handed by DeCinces, who throws and got him. You talk about on your numbers, DeCinces on his back. And
politics and professionalism, there really was an Olympics where the only prize was glory. Stand up and cheer as the first Olympics begins tomorrow.
There's no such thing as a low-price car anymore. That's the rumor. Here's the truth. Your Tri-State Chevrolet dealer has 16 different Chevrolet models available with a base sticker price of under $7,000, including the Chevette 2-door hatchback, the lowest price car built in the U.S., and 6 Cavalier models, America's fastest-growing line of front-wheel drive cars, import or domestic. 16 choices under $7,000. Low prices and quality mean value. See your Tri-State Chevrolet Dream Team dealer today.
This imported beer is all that you'd expect. It has a rich, full-bodied, imported flavor, as you'd expect. And a deep, golden color to match its quality taste, as you'd expect. But here's one thing you probably won't expect. It's light. Amstel Light Beer.
95 calories, never tasted so imported.
Amstel Light Beer, imported by Van Munching and Company, New York.
No, they're easy to open.
No, they're big and meaty.
Easy to open.
They're big and meaty.
Hold it. Can't we agree on one thing about Sunshine Pistachios?
They're big and meaty.
They're easy to open.
Oh, but Sunshine Pistachios are big and meaty, see?
Nah, they're easy to open. Watch.
Ah, they're easy to open. Oh, let's settle on one thing.
Why settle?
No, why settle for peanuts?
Yeah, we've got Sunshine Pistachios.
These guys have taste.
There's something good under the sun. Sunshine Pistachios.
They're big and meaty.
Easy to open.
They're big and
Now,
Linda Gray and Louis L'Amour, Monday, live at 5.
What a show tomorrow on NBC Sports World. Hector Macho Camacho and Raphael Williams in the WBC Junior Lightweight Championship. Also, the Alabama Talladega 500, all tomorrow right here on NBC Sports World.
Necro has already warned Mattingly about the punt. Mattingly is back, but Necro indicated he'll be covering the line because Wilfong, as Vin pointed out, can really drop those punts.
Well, he's a great bunter. Then Gritch and Nairn. 4-1, 1-0. Wilfong was acquired along with Doug Corbett from Minnesota in the deal that sent Tom Brunansky away in 1982. Way out in front of it. He started that swing sometime early this morning. 1-1.
Before this inning, Necro made 51 pitches, 28 strikes, and 14 batters.
How do you compare with Zahn?
59 pitches, 42 strikes, 14 batters, 10 first pitch strikes for Zahn, 7 first pitch strikes for Necro.
Whew, are they on the money? 1-2 to Rob Wilfong. 2-2. Necro, at least he did have over in the National League. Besides a fastball, he had a little slider that he'd throw once in a while. But his knuckleball is really working. There it is. Ground ball to first. Mattingly will flip to Necro covering. Remember, Necro has won 5 Gold Gloves, 2 in a row in his last 2 years in the National League.
Bobby Gritch talks about facing a knuckleballer, and here's Bobby. First baseman.
Well, let's see, in my career, I've faced, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 knuckleballers. Wilbur Wood comes to mind. Eddie Fisher with the White Sox comes to mind. I've never faced Phil Necro, but I would imagine his ball be reacting basically the same when the ball comes in, and it's unpredictable. Most often it bites down, usually from right-hander. If it's coming from right-handed pitcher, it will break down and away. As a hitter, what you try and do is wait until the very last minute, not overswing, and try and take him up the middle if you can.
Well, let's see if Bobby tries to take him up the middle right now. 4-1.
Everybody's got a theory, I'm telling you. Killebrew had the best. He said, you see the seams, try to hit in between the seams.
Thank you very much. 1-1 to count to Bobby Gritch, who flied to right field in the second inning. No score in the 5th inning. In fact, in talking about no score, another note about Necro. You know, the biggest victim as a pitcher having your own team shut out was the great Walter Johnson. And the second in history is Phil Necro. Bad hop down the line, base hit. And Gritch will go for 2, and the throw is dropped at second base by Randolph. He was out from knee to you.
Surprised to see Bobby go. I think it was the element of surprise. There's the bad hop. And Piniella comes up with it, and Gritch is not really committed even to this point, and it's a short hop throw, and that made the play a little difficult, and Gritch is able to make it. The ball was there ahead of him, but the short hop, I tell you, that short hop's a tough play when you got runners coming at you.
So the Angels get a big break. They have a runner at second with 1 out, and Jerry Nairn the batter. In the 5th inning, no score. Jerry was a big man at Edmonton. Hit over 300, had over 100 RBIs. He had 27 home runs down there. But But, of course, New York's a long way from Edmonton in more ways than geography. So Phil Niekro trying to battle way out of a spot. One out, runner at second who shouldn't be there. No score in the 5th inning. Ground ball to the right side, big hop, and Randolph makes the play to Mattingly. The infield leaves a lot to be desired, apparently.
It seems like when it gets right at the edge of the grass, if it hits there, and the last 2 balls have done exactly that, it takes that big kangaroo hop.
I don't think it's the effect of hitting a knuckleball that's doing it, do you?
No, not at all.
So here's the little duck. Dick Schofield hopped up in the 3rd inning. He has really been struggling. 4 hits in his last 34 at-bats. The Angels, of course, are pretty much committed with him. They want him to just grow up and battle his way out of it. Strike. Meanwhile, the Yankees could just about play an infield of shortstops, because Harrop came up as a shortstop. Robertson and Foley, and of course Roy Smalley. 1-1. If he says hello, it's an address.
Schofield.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He is one of the quietest young men in all the game. Knuckleball is hit down to short. On the run is Robertson to get him. So the Angels got a break, but they left Rich at 3rd base. And once again, Phil Niekro bobs and weaves out of a jam. And at the end of 4 1/2, Angels nothing, Yankees nothing.
Indianapolis, where the gladiators of the automotive world do battle. This year, even before the checkered flag has dropped, the Indy 500 has been won. The winner? A tire born of advanced design and innovative technology. The only tire to qualify. The only tire that every car in the Indy 500 will run on.
When I started delivering beer back in 1893, the supermarket was a blacksmith shop. Well, those days are gone. But maybe not entirely. You see this? Today's Milwaukee's best. It's got a smooth, old-time taste, old-time quality, and a real fair, old-time price. Milwaukee's best. It's just the kind of deal that his great-great-granddaddy would have loved.
Introducing Milwaukee's best. Old-time quality at an old-time price.
Nothing gets you closer to America than a motorcycle. And nothing takes you there like a Honda Goldwing.
Baseball star Babe Ruth played what sport?
Lacrosse. There's some people you just won't see when Pat Sajak hosts the College Bowl Championships live Wednesday.
There's John McNamara, the manager of the Angels, and he is a class act. He piloted the Reds to the '79 title. But the point we want to make, that there are 4 American League managers whom he managed. Tony La Russa, who is now with the White Sox, of course, Rene Lachemann with Milwaukee, Doug Rader with Texas, and Pat Corrales with Cleveland. They have all had a little touch of John McNamara, which makes it worthwhile.
And if I were catching right now, Vin, I'd holler at my infielders, watch the bunt.
The Miller Most Valuable Player Award will be given at the end of the ball game, and it could be extremely difficult as Omar Marino unfolds his tent, and Omar takes ball 1. DeCinces, taking your advice, looking for the bunt. 1-0. Marino had an infield single in the 3rd inning. DeCinces shortens up. Boy, that was as if he was going to sacrifice the way he turned around.
I think he was going to maybe carry it a step farther and shorten up as if to bunt, pull him in, and then smack it on the ground past the sensei.
Well, he's got the sensei on a trolley wire, moving him back and forth at third. 2-0. Strike, 2-1.
Trouble with that is you can be thinking so much, end up with a bad headache and a time at bat.
There's a big difference between going up there and guessing and going up there and hitting. And he did try that time. He was going to slap at it. The count 2-2.
He's done everything but put a Windsor knot in his kneecap. He's trying to figure out Zahn, and Zahn right now has the upper hand because he's really got Moreno thinking.
One thing about Omar, at least over in Pittsburgh, no power, and yet he struck out a lot. Like that. One away. You know, this is an anniversary of a game I never saw, and yet I sure wish I had seen it.
Fordham against Fairleigh Dickinson.
No, it was in 1969, and the Minnesota Twins were playing the Detroit Tigers, okay?
Okay.
And Cesar Tovar was at second, and Rod Carew was at first. Right. And they pulled a double steal.
Yes.
So now they got runners at second and third.
Right.
And Tovar now steals home.
Okay.
And then Carew steals third.
Okay.
And then Carew stole home. All in the same inning. And it tied up the game as you look at Rodney. It tied up the game 2-2. They blow it. Detroit wins it 5-4.
2 steals of home, same inning.
In the same inning. 0-1. Right. He's an incredible player, Rod Carew. I mean, he did more. You're going to say, well, 3,000 hits.
He said he's going to get 3,000 hits by September. But he gave me a tip on hitting. When you're tired and you go to a shorter bat, I don't believe. We're going to try to get it in.
Yeah, but it's too late, Joe.
What do you mean? For me? Boy, you... Whoa. Blow out the candles, guys.
All right. That was dreadful on my part.
No, it wasn't dreadful. It was really rotten.
It was planned as well. 0-2 the Cow with 1 away in the 5th inning. Willie Randolph kept his streak alive. He's hit in 9 straight. All right, really, what did he say?
No, we got it on tape.
Oh, really?
I will not destroy the whole thing. When you hear this, and you got to hear this.
I will pay attention. 1-2. After all, Rod Carew has the highest lifetime average among active players. His lifetime average is 331 as he sits near Ron Jackson. 331.
Average.
2-2. Sinker, and he's sunk it. So Randolph, 9 straight. He is 2 for 3. That is hit number 5 off Zahn. But still no score in the 5th inning. And the batter, Toby Harrah.
Watch the stroke. He just right back up the middle. It's what Bobby Grich was talking about, trying to hit a knuckleballer. Randolph did it to Zahn. Not trying to overpower him, just meet the ball and send it back up the middle.
Now remember, Randolph was picked off when he slipped trying to get back. And Zahn has that great quick release to the plate. So let's see if the Yankees have a play on. 1 ball and no strikes. Gene Michaels, the stick in the third base coaching box, perhaps hanging out a sign for Harrah. Harrah has singled and walked.
Harrah does a good job of giving the coach a lot of time to run through a whole series of something.
1-0. And that's line to right, sinking for a base hit. Lynn tried to do a decoy that he was going to catch it. But Randolph just moved up 90 feet. Not a bad fake by Fred in right field.
It was a good fake because he stopped Willie Randolph, and that's all you could do. He could not have gone to third. Keep in mind, now the last time Winfield was up, he hit the first pitch. There is the fake by Lynn. Winfield hit that first pitch, an off-speed pitch. Let's see what happens this time.
All right, you have runners at first and second with 1 out. Winfield came up with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 3rd inning and fouled out. He came up following 2 hits in the 1st inning and lined out. So the big guy's up there with a chance to hurt. No score in the 5th inning, and the Angels are moving around in the bullpen. He couldn't ask for more. Randolph and Hara have been on base 6 times between them. Line drive, base hit to right field. Here's Randolph, and they're holding him on a perfect throw to the plate from Fred Lynn.
That was absolutely dead perfect throw, because if Rich wanted to cut it off, he couldn't. And Aaron Howard let it go, and it was a one-hop easy play to handle, and Michael at third base very wisely held up the base runner Randolph, and he hit the first pitch again. And here comes
Marcel Latchman is going to go out and talk to Jeff Zahn. Look at that hop.
You love that when they come like that.
Coming up, of course, will be the DH Don Baylor. And in case you're wondering, Baylor has hit 8 grand slams. Lou Gehrig, in his magnificent career, had 23. So Baylor flied to right, hit into a force play. Jim Slayton is up in the bullpen. And Jeff Zahn is on the ropes here with 1 out. Randolph single to center, Harris single to right, Winfield single to right to load the bases. 4-1 to Baylor. No score, bottom of the 5th inning. That was close enough for the plate umpire, Craig Kosk, to have his right arm quiver as if he was almost going to bring it up for a strike. He just did keep it at his side.
Now is when that hitter really is in the driver's seat. He can really pick his pitch.
2-0. A bluff to first. He was off the rubber. Baylor left the Angels as a free agent after their '82 division championship. Ground ball down to third. DeCinces down to second. Back to first. Double play. And Zahn has finessed his way out of a jam. The Angels, no runs. 3 hits, 2 left. And we have an absolute gem. At the end of 5, no score.
Mixing cement. It's a dusty job. So Fram makes this terrific air filter to protect my Alice's engine. It's not just 1 filter, but 2. Now Fram makes a double air filter for cars. Not just 1 filter, but 2. The Fram Extra Life lasts 50% longer than the old Fram filter, but it doesn't cost any more. So why not put a Fram Extra Life in your car? Why put in 1 filter when you can put in 2?
My dad's always telling me that when he started in the construction business, he could carry all his tools in the back of a pickup.
Now some of the tools could carry a pickup.
No secret, just good work at a good price, right?
Word of mouth did the rest.
Folks at Meisterbrow do a good job. Sure, we can afford any beer we want.
But this tastes as good as Budweiser and doesn't cost as much. I think word of mouth on Meisterbrow is going to be pretty good.
Meisterbrow. Tastes as good as Budweiser at a better price.
A day in the life of a Commodore 64. The Commodore 64. Once you get it, you'll wonder how you got along without it.
Sports World makes big news. Hector Macho Camacho battles Raphael Williams, and the good old boys are at it again, riding into racing history at over 200 miles per hour. Come on down to the Alabama Talladega 500. NBC Sports makes big news in May.
It's the Talladega, not a Jubilee, and it'll be anything but Jubilee in a junior lightweight championship for the WBC. Macho Camacho and Raphael Williams. That ought to be a great show tomorrow, right here on NBC Sports. Sports World. We ought to build this series since the Angels and the Yankees started to roll in the dirt last night. We have had 8 double plays. The Angels came up with 4 double plays behind Tommy John last night. The Yankees have come up with 3 behind Necro. And the Angels just came up to bail out Zahn. So 8 DPs so far in 15 innings. And here is Gary Pettis. He's 2 for 2, single to right. Remember, he was confused, thought it was a ground rule double. Right. 1-1. And then single in the 3rd inning. But Lynn hit into the double play. Pettis, a switch hitter. Little roller, foul ball.
You're going to get a lot of double plays when you have pitchers around that plate because the infielders are ready. They're anticipating. They want that ball hit to them. It's the guys who run the count to 3-2, 3-2, 2-2, 3-2. You're back on your heels.
On your heels is where Pettis has been as a left-handed batter. Almost all of his strikeouts have been as a left-handed hitter. To give you an idea, he has struck out 37 times this year, 29 of them as a left-handed hitter. So he has to shorten up and make contact from this position. Ground ball to the right side. And that's Willie Randolph, and that means 1 away. Joe had an interesting chat with Rod Carew. It would pay us all to listen.
I had never heard this question before. Rod, when you go to a shorter bat, how do you make the bat look longer? Ted Williams asked you that. What do you do?
Well, you know, I told Ted that, you know, with the trademark shown on this side, if you want to go to a shorter bat and you want the bat to still seem like it's longer, you turn the trademark away from your face so you see nothing. Once the bat's turned this way, then, you know, you can see this much and it's going to still make the bat look short. So if you're looking at the blank side of the bat, you see nothing, so the bat is going to look just as long as it was before.
You know what's interesting about that? From the time I could learn to walk, I was always told you never hit with the label up.
What do you mean?
Then it would break the bat. In other words, you never showed the label side of the bat. Never. That's one of the oldest things I ever heard in the Sandlot.
Well, they always told us you had to read the label or your bat would break.
Yeah, well, that's okay. If you're looking at the label, it's on the other side of the ball. But if you're hitting with the label facing the pitcher, you're going to break your bat. And the classic story is that somebody said that to Aaron, and he said, I ain't reading up here. So here's a great hitter like Carew talking about the label, and there's a line drive at shortstop Robertson. 2 down.
But when you get tired as a hitter, they always go to most of the time, a lighter bat or a shorter bat. And I never heard anybody saying, I want the bat to look longer, so I just turned the label so I couldn't read it.
Yeah, I don't quite understand.
Of course, a guy like Carew could hit with a toothpick. He'd hit 280 with that.
Let me ask you, he wasn't putting you on.
No, he's as serious as he could be.
Well, here's somebody as serious as he can be, Reggie Jackson in Yankee Stadium. Right.
I said to Reggie what Carew told me, he said, I don't want it longer, I want it fatter.
Fatter, yeah. Well, let's see. He has walked and grounded out. And he's a winner, as you can see. 1-1.
He used a great expression. He said, you have to have the eye of the tiger, the killer instinct. And he was talking about Sugar Ray Leonard coming back and retiring again. He said, you can't just turn it on for 45 minutes.
You have a battle here of a home run hitter and a fellow who has allowed only 1 home run this year. I think it was Ricky Henderson. On the corner, 2-2. Reggie has averaged 30 home runs, 90 RBIs for each of his 16 Major League seasons. And he's trying to forget last year. See you later. So Negro.
The beauty of a Delta faucet is, when it's on, it's on. And when it's off, it's off. Its washerless design helps keep it from dripping, so it lasts and lasts and lasts. Delta faucet. We're first because we last.
These are the men who built Mustang SBO, who made the engine turbocharged and intercooled,
The shocks, gas-filled Konis. The tires, Goodyear NCTs, who put disc brakes on all four wheels because they think more about precision and discipline and 0 to 50 than they do about 9 to 5. They are Ford Special Vehicle Operations, and this is Mustang SVO. Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Welcome! Working at Shorty, your days belong to somebody else, but your nights are all yours. To Miller time! Now comes your time with the best beer you can find, Miller High Life. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time.
Hi, I'm Doug DeCenza, California Angels. I hope you join us next Saturday in Anaheim against the world champion Baltimore Orioles.
Number 15. We're going to the bottom of the 6th inning. No score in the ball game. Jeff Zahn and Phil Niekro, as advertised, lock up in a gem. Don't forget, doubleheader next week. Most of you will see the Dodgers and the Mets. Others will see the Cardinals and the Braves. In the second game, the champion Orioles against the Angels, or Kansas City Royals visiting the Boston Red Sox. Baseball Game of the Week doubleheader next Saturday, right here on NBC Sports, where the memories are waiting. For whatever reason, and perhaps later on we will get the word, but Bobby Grich has had to come out of the game. So Ron Jackson, there he is. He's at first base. And Grich has come out. Right. Lou Piniella, followed by Don Mattingly and Butch Weiniger. Piniella has grounded his second, single to center, 1 for 2. No runs, 4 hits for the Angels. No runs, 7 hits for the Yankees. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Yankees are piling up the men left on base. And there's a base hit for Piniella. He's 2 for 3. So Jeff Zahn has allowed 8 hits. And Piniella needs just 1 more for 1,700 in his career.
We look at Bobby Grich. Mattingly coming up. He's not had good cuts against Zahn, and I bet the sensei on the mound right now is saying, I'm looking for the bunt right now.
We're not sure as to why Grich came out. He didn't look particularly ill, but he's out of there, so we'll get word. And the bunt is down by Mattingly, but foul. So Ron Jackson charging in from first base. 0-1 to count. Remember, we were talking about how the sacrifice bunt had virtually disappeared for the Yankees last year. There you can see the Yankees have had men on base in every inning but the second inning when they were retired in order. They've had the bases loaded twice in the 3rd and 5th and come up empty. Swinging and a high fly ball into right center. Fred Lynn along with Gary Pettis. It's Lynn. 1 away. That probably took a little time for Fred Lynn, normally the center fielder and the captain, not only to defer the position to a rookie, but to allow the rookie to be the captain of the outfield, if he is indeed that.
Well, he has to be in center field. You just get it because you have to catch everything that comes out there and run people off. Somebody's got to take charge, and it's the center fielder.
There's Butch Weiniger now, grounded out, hit into a force play, 0 for 2. Off speed, ball 1. The Yankees leaving 7. Weiniger grounded to 3rd, hit into a force play. In there, and that was a good change. Butch Weiniger caught Dave Brighetti's no-hitter on July 4th last year. That was George Steinbrenner's birthday. 1-1. Talking about birthdays, Reggie Jackson celebrated his 38th yesterday. Rick Cerrone celebrates his 30th birthday today, although he's on the DL, tenderness of the right elbow. And Tommy John, who pitched brilliantly last night, will celebrate his 41st birthday Tuesday. 3-1.
Now it's a big pitch for Zahn not to get 3-1. If you know he's going to run him 3-2 with one man out. So if you're going to run him 3-2, you run him 3-1. Let's see what Yogi does.
And he has walked only one. Hara back in the third. The first thing he does is try to tie up Piniella a little bit. Slayton is up for the second time in the Angel bullpen. Runner going late on a strike. The throw down to Wilbon. Back to Jackson. Not in time.
Somebody missed the sign. That was not a steal play, but as I say, you run 3-2, you run him 3-1, and Piniella was watching to see what would happen, and when Weiniger took it, he knew he was in no man's country. I mean, it's really a slow developing play, and right here, he makes the U-turn to throw as high, and there's no way to get him. That's good base running by Piniella. Watch him. Now, he's watching it all the way, and he sees the sign as the play's broken up, so he's going to erase the mistake, and he does.
He's going 3-2, and there's a bouncer down to second on the bag for one. There's another double play. So Weiniger bangs into the double play, 4-3. That is the sixth, well, it's the fifth and now sixth double play in the game. No score at the end of six. We'll be back.
NBC presents a 5-hour miniseries about the men and women who dared to dream of glory and challenge the world. The first Olympics begins tomorrow.
It's here. The quick response and smooth performance of new Exxon Extra, our highest octane unleaded gasoline ever. Its extra boost of octane quiets the knocks, silences the pings for extra smooth performance. New Exxon Extra, quality you can count on.
47 apricot souffles in one evening. I think that's a world's record.
It was all for one gentleman, too. Did you know that?
No.
Courage, my dear. You were terrific. Care for a souffle?
I don't think so.
How about a magnum of Chateau Canadien?
As always, Jacques, a perfect choice.
Call me Jack.
Sure.
Molson Golden from North America's oldest brewery, Molson of Canada, since 1786. Molson makes it golden.
Here's to another night in the cellar.
And more dough.
It's Tom Clark delivering at 9:28. It's a 7:27 over the Golden Gate. It's Bill Flynn coming through when time can't wait. It's UPS next day air, and that means getting it there. Getting it there for American industry with early morning delivery, speed, economy. It's Jim Wilson getting jets on their way. It's the UPS system working night and day. It's UPS next day air, and that means getting it there.
Getting it there.
Lords of the Ring Inside Pro Wrestling starts Tuesday at 6.
We'll repeat that note that we had given you earlier about pitchers losing because of the opposite number pitching a shutout. Walter Johnson, 65, and look at that. Phil Niekro lost 53 times where his team failed to score a run. And the great Cy Young, 48. Niekro, who has allowed only 2 fly balls. Bobby Grich hit a fly ball to right field in the second inning. And Dick Schofield popped a ball up on the infield. There was one line drive that Fred Lynn hit at the shortstop. So DeCinces has struck out and walked. Then Downing, and then Wilfon. Strike.
I know I'm a little partial, but you certainly have to admire the game that Weiniger is catching. He has not dropped. I can't remember him dropping the ball. I thought Bruce Benedict used to do a good job in Atlanta, and he did.
Yeah.
But Weiniger is right up there.
0-1. Knuckleball pulled, but playing deep in the hole is Robertson. Kicks it, recovers, and pulled his man off the bag. Mattingly could not do the toe dance, and so DeCinces is aboard.
He gets the error. Robertson tries to make the long throw. You can see Mattingly off the bag, and DeCinces is on.
So the Angels had committed 2 errors to put Jeb Zahn in trouble. Now we have an error by Robertson to open up an inning. The Yankees have been their own worst enemies defensively. They've now committed more errors in games played. 44 errors in 36 games. That's the most in the American League. The Phillies have made more errors than that. The last I looked, it was 48. What's that? We have met the enemy and they are us. Line down the right field line, foul and out of play. And the count 0-1 to Brian Downing. We're getting a report on why Bobby Grich had to come out of the ballplane, and apparently he is bothered by the flu and the combination of the humidity and the flu, and he's gone. And of course they played a 10-inning game last night. Downing single to right, hit into a double play, 1 for 2. Nine double plays in 2 games so far between these 2 teams. DeCinces at first, held on by Mattingly. 1-1 to Brian Downing. Knuckleball hit into right center field, and that's going to go through. Winfield chasing into the fence. DeCinces is being waved in by Preston Gomez. Randolph throw to the plate. He scores.
DeCinces got jammed at home plate. His footsies are going to be aching just a little bit. He had half the plate, and Weininger took it away from him, but a bit late. Watch it. Watch his left foot. See him turn it? And as he turned it, DeCinces jammed into it. Get another look at it. You see him coaching himself when he rounded second base. He said, I can score. Now he sees half the plate. He slides for that half. Now watch Weininger's foot. Now you couldn't see it on that shot. The other angle you could, where he just turned it.
Tell you one thing, it was a great throw by Willie Randolph, too.
Whew.
Ball 1. So the Angels take a 1-0 lead on a double by Downing as he hit it to the wall. It's 385 up the alley. That's where the ball went. So the error is cashed in. 1-0 California. And here's Rob Wilfong. Still nobody out. And he pulls down the right field line, out of play. Let's take another look at that play at the plate, Joe.
Look at his foot now. See him turn it right there? That's what catchers will do. They'll keep the foot straight, give you half the plate. Once you commit yourself, they'll turn the foot, hoping that you'll hook the shin guard and slide off. And DeCinces came straight in and beat the play.
1 ball and 1 strike. Line drive down the right field line, foul. I'll tell you, you might say to yourself in this kind of a game, Wilfong swinging away. It might also come as a surprise to you. On the Angel team, Rob Wilfong is leading in hitting with men in scoring position. Though with a runner at second base, they're letting him hack away on the count 1-2, even though the Angels were looking bunt. On deck, remember, is Ron Jackson, finishing up for Bobby Grich. Little foul the other way. The Angels 1 run, 5 hits. The Yankees no runs, 8 hits. Remember, though, the other note we gave you about how poorly the Angels do if they don't hit a home run. There's a drive to right. Winfield to the wall. Can't get it. It's off the wall. Coming to third is Downing. They are waving him in. And going to third is Wilfong. And he has picked up another man from scoring position.
It looked like Winfield for a moment thought that ball was going to be out of here. He did take a big gash out of that protection, that rubber foam along the fence. Now watch him right here. He's not really sure where he is, and he looked like he thought he was closer. Speedy takes a gouge out of it, but it's a 3-base hit.
First baseman.
So Yogi studying the lineup and the availability of switches that he could have at his command, and now he's on the phone to the bullpen. Nobody out in the inning. An error, a double, and a triple. And there's ball 1 to Ron Jackson. So they shorten up the infield, and the Angels leading the Yankees 2-0. A little extra pressure on Weiniger, of course, handling a knuckleballer with a runner at third.
It's one of those plays, Vin. I'm glad you pointed it out, that if a pitcher doesn't have confidence in his catcher with the man on third, he's going to let up. Niekro said he doesn't.
Foul back.
He says, I know that Weiniger's going to catch that ball, and when a pitcher feels like that, he throws with complete confidence.
Down in the bullpen, right-hander Clay Christensen is loosening up for the Yankees. And 2. And that's hit into left field. Coming up for it is Piniella to make the catch. Tagging is Wilfong. The throw to the plate. He scores. So Jackson picks him up with a fly ball to left field. And the Angels now have some breathing room. They're going to contend that Wilfong had left third too soon. But Jim Evans says no, so the run is in. Here's how it all began. The ground ball to Andre Robertson. Then the hurried throw, and Mattingly tried to stay on the bag, couldn't do it. And from that followed the double by Downing, the triple by Wilfong, and the scoring fly ball by Ron Jackson. Jerry Narron with the count, 1 ball and no strikes. Two and 0. You know, it's hard to believe because the Yankees have such a marvelous combination of old and new. There's another base hit. Niekro, the old, and of course the young is Jose Rio, the 19-year-old in the Yankee bullpen. The interesting point is that the first major league victory that Phil Niekro ever won, little did he know that day, was the same day that Jose Rio was being born. May the 13th, 1965. I mean, that's... But I don't think he's going to see Rio because the Angels are too far out in front of him. It's 3-0 California in the 7th. And the Yankees are not a come-from-behind team. Well, let's face it, when you're laboring where they are in the standings, you're not coming from behind at all. Bob Shirley is up along with Clay Christensen. The Yankees have only won 3 games out of 18 if the other team scores first. Right. So Schofield popped up and grounded out, and it has suddenly come apart at the seams for Phil Niekro. 3-0 Angels in the 7th. Fastball and a high fly ball to left field. Piniella is there with a lot of room. That's only the 2nd out of the inning. The batter will be Gary Pettis with Jerry Narron at first. Pettis has 2 singles and grounded out, 2 for 3. Gary hitting .231. To look ahead, the Yankees try to get off the floor in the bottom of the 7th. They'll have Andre Robertson, Omar Moreno, and Willie Randolph. Available if Yogi wants to go the other way. His left-hand hitters, well, he has Oscar Gamble, Ken Griffey, and Steve Kemp. He has switch hitter Roy Smalley. He also has Foley and O'Berry. With the runner going, Pettis fouls it off. So Narron back to first.
McNamara must feel that Negro's not paying too much attention to Nairn. 2 outs, and he doesn't exactly have that great speed at first base. He just picked the situation, maybe laxity on Negro's part. And he said, hey, I'll start him. They're playing a little bit behind him. Should get a good jump.
He's not going. That got away. 1-2. Of course, that's one thing. Even though the numbers 8 and 9 spots are coming up, in the American League, you're the pitcher, you still have a shot at it. You still stay in there, thanks to the DH. National League, you know he's saying to himself, I'm finished. This is my last inning. I'm gone. It's a big difference. Ball 3. So the dancer is all over the floor now. 3-2 with 2 down. Nairn ready to go from first. Fastball hit down to short, and Robertson kicks it. And so we've had 4 errors in the game, and 2 of them by Andre Robertson, who can just shake his head.
He looked like he was doing everything right except catch it. The ball was right at him. He got down, and all of a sudden, that last hop, boop, there it was. Let's watch it, see if we can pick it up. Got caught right, took a little bit of a bad hop right in front of him. I guess it's hard to play on those cobblestone fields.
Apparently that infield, the ball has really been doing tricks all day. And here's Freddie Lynn now, the strike. Remember, you give the Angels all this opportunity. The errors, they've cashed them in. They've had a double and a triple. And they're the league's leading home run hitting team. Line to right field. Winfield is there. And the Angels put together a double, a triple, a single, and an error for a 3-run inning. At the end of 6 1/2, Angels 3, Yankees nothing. And now a salute on the 7th inning stretch to Phil Rizzuto.
Old Spice presents the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Old Spice Aftershave and Cologne. Splash on the feeling. Splash on Old Spice.
A wide-eyed New York Yankee rookie in 1941, diminutive Phil Rizzuto broke into the major leagues by hitting .307. Always a pesky hitter, Rizzuto also made artful use of the bunt. He was notoriously afraid of snakes and lightning, but Rizzuto had brave hands afield for the double play. On the bases, the scooter was a constant threat to steal, and in 1950, Rizzuto was the American League's MVP. During his 13 seasons with the Yankees, Rizzuto's shortstop shenanigans keyed 7 world championships. A beloved Yankee broadcaster for the past 25 years, Phil's trademark is a hearty, holy cow. But Phil Rizzuto is best remembered as a pint-sized shortstop with a heart as big as New York.
All you gotta do is smell the coffee, splash on Old Spice. Now you're moving, isn't it nice? Up and at 'em, don't think twice. Pour out a handful, splash on some spice.
Nobody sends more guys out there than America's favorite, unmistakably masculine Old Spice.
Splash on the feeling, splash on some spice.
And now, to soothe sensitive skin, try Old Spice Conditioning Aftershave.
Len Berman in New York, top of the 9th in Toronto. White Sox have the tying run at second. Darrell Boston, ground ball. Dennis Lamb covers. That's it. Toronto wins at 1-0. Their 5th straight. You know, Vin and Joe in any other division, they'd be in first place. Back to the stadium.
Well, all right, Len, and maybe Toronto should get a medal, but I'm mighty proud and delighted that my partner and friend, Mr. Joe Garagiola, received a medal. There's a picture of it from the government of Italy. And Joe, what was the background to that medal?
It was for, I think the wording was honor my Italian origin and contributions to Italian baseball for their participation. They have a league. I did a baseball world show, and I've been doing what I can along with Perry Pilati, who is the representative over here, and they're going to be in the Olympics, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, we're delighted, and we congratulate you sincerely. Nice going.
Thank you.
High fly ball to straightaway center to Gary Pettis. 1 away. By the way, all things are not going swimmingly for the Angels. You know, Bobby Grich had to come out because of the flu, and I don't want to scare Buzzy Bavasi or Gene Autry back in California, but something happened in the Angel bullpen, and John Curtis, the left-hander, came in with his hand heavily wrapped in a towel and went down into the dugout and eventually back into the clubhouse. So evidently, he ripped a fingernail, and what that will mean about his pitching future, we don't know. Ground ball to shortstop to Schofield. And that will take care of Marino. 2 down. But it could be that the Angels, who have several men on their DL, Ozzie, Forsch, Keeson, Burleson, Sconyers, and Valentine, now have John Curtis banged up. But they have Jeffrey Zahn, who is leading 3-0 here in the 7th inning with 2 down. And Willie Randolph will be the batter. Randolph, 2 singles, a board on an error. 2 for 3 is hit in 9 straight. Ground ball to short. Schofield. Can't believe this one flying. So Zahn, with a minimum effort, goes through 7. And at the end of 7, the Angels 3 and the Yankees nothing.
Welcome to Miller time.
At Miller High Life, time is everything. Beer drinkers come to us because we've been brewing in extra quality for the last 129 years. That's a lot of our time. But it's the reason you spend your time with us when you want the best beer you can find. Miller High Life.
Welcome to Miller time.
17 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this house with the brush. Then we painted it in just 6.5 hours with the Wagner Power Painter. This wicker chair took over an hour, but less than 5 minutes with a Wagner Power Painter. A shutter that took 20 minutes, a power painter finished in only 3. It's a tool so versatile, it has a flexible spray tip and a way to draw paint right from a can. A Wagner Power Painter. It's the right tool for painting.
Sports World makes big news. Undefeated Hector Macho Camacho battles Rafael Williams. Is the Macho Man with the devastating hands ready for this Latin American champion? A showdown inside the ring that will make headlines. NBC Sports is big news in May.
Yes, with Camacho and Williams, Joe, it ought to be a good fight. We got a dandy here, but before you know it, the game will be over at the rate we're flying.
3 pitches, 3 outs for Zahn. He's moving right along. You said it before. There may be both of them double parked out there.
Maybe so. Let's go down instead of looking at us. Reggie Jackson will start it off. He'll be followed by Doug DeCinces and then Brian Downing. That's fouled away. Reggie walked, grounded to third, and struck out. And he has struck out 17 times in his last 10 games. He's struggling a little bit. Oh, that must have looked like a basketball.
It just came floating up there, and Reggie has to regroup. He's backed out of the batter's box. Now, with 2 strikes on him, he'll really throw the snake.
0-2 the count to Reg.
He had his cut, didn't get it. This is from behind, Negro. Watch him put the extra on it, and there it was. Look at it break down. 2 strikes, no balls. He gave him that Sunday snake.
Well, it didn't seem to bother John McNamara. After all, the ball club is leading 3-0, so Reggie had something funny to say, which is why I think he's been around so long, as DeCinces hits one foul. 0-1. So Doug DeCinces, who had struck out and walked and then hit the ground ball in the 7th inning to Robertson, and Andre kicked it, and that opened up the dike. Then Downing doubled him home. Wilfong tripled Ron Jackson's fly ball, and it was a 3-run inning.
How do you like that one? That was a Rip Sewell. Ephus pitch. They show movies when they throw that.
0-2. Line drive, fair ball, down in the corner. And I'll see a fan touch that one. We'll have no confusion. So ground rule double.
Necro's really disgusted. He's storming around the mound because he had 2 strikes. He tried to throw something besides a knuckleball, and you can see he's disgusted with himself because he gave him a good pitch to hit. He jumped out in front of him very quickly and then gives him that big room service pitch. And he just is talking to himself, and he got it off his chest at least.
If you wonder how many doubles DeCinces has, he's wearing it. 11, which ties him for the league lead. 4-1. George Bell of Toronto also has 11. So that means suddenly, in the last inning and a third, the Angels have come up with 2 doubles and a triple. They're leading 3-0 in the 8th. Three runs, 8 hits for the Angels, no runs, 8 hits for the Yankees. The Yankees with 8 singles, and the Angels with those extra base hits. Fouled away, off to the right, out of play, and the count 2-1. They're talking about days in history. Yesterday was an interesting day in history. It was the first time, really, that baseball players went on a strike. Bouncer up the middle, and that's going to be more than a strike. It's going to cost Necro another run. And when it is overrun by Moreno, it means an extra base. And Necro must be disgusted with himself as the Angels add another and lead 4-0. An error charge to Moreno. And Yogi Berra going out. So suddenly, it's just not knuckling. We have a moment, you might find it interesting. In 1912, Ty Cobb was suspended. And Huey Jennings, the manager of the Tigers, was afraid that if he didn't field a team against the Philadelphia A's, that they would not only lose, but get in more trouble. Because all of the players refused to play. If Cobb is suspended, I ain't playing. So they went out and recruited a lot of college players to play. So college players in 1912 took the field against the Philadelphia A's. Now, I would love to be able to tell you that the college players upset the A's. But the A's won it 24-2. And life goes on. Necro goes out.
When IBM personal computer owners look for good software, where can they turn? To IBM for programs that help you keep up with modern times. Business programs, entertainment, productivity, education, and more. The variety you want with the quality you expect in the growing library of IBM personal computer software. A well-balanced selection at a store near you.
Welcome
You've turned the city over to the next shift. The rest of the night is yours.
to Miller Time.
Now comes your time with the best beer you can find, Miller High Life.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You got the time. We've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time.
The Baseball Hall of Fame is located in Cooperstown, New York, and millions have gone to see it. But this year, the Hall of Fame could be coming to you. At selected shopping malls across the country, the Traveling Hall of Fame exhibit containing an historic collection of mementos and displays will help bring America face to face with the rich history of its national pastime. Baseball fever, catch it. It lasts forever. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
The Angels leading the Yankees 4-0 at top of the 8th inning. Remember earlier we told you that it was an accident in the Angel bullpen as we see Bob Shirley pick up for Phil Necro. Joe, I think we got a report on John Curtis as to what happened.
It says officially, Curtis cut left thumb catching ball on awning in bullpen. And the next question will be, why was he catching the ball on the awning in the bullpen?
In other words, maybe you throw the ball up on the awning and it's like a little kid, it rolls down and you jump in here and grab it. Who was it now? Let me think.
Ron Reed. Jumped up like he was playing basketball.
Ron Reed? No, I'm thinking of Cecil Upshaw, maybe. Somebody with the Braves, a tall relief pitcher, had gone to the movies.
I think it was Reed.
Was it? And he jumped up to touch a marquee or an awning and got his ring finger caught and almost lost his finger. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, it's something like that, I guess, with John Curtis. Ball 1 to Wilfong. Standing at second base, Brian Downing. It's all Angels, 4-0 here in the 8th inning. What about Necro now? Did you think he lost his knuckleball?
No, I thought he was trying to get cute and get away from his knuckleball. He got the 2 strikes and he threw that slow curve to DeSensei when he doubled, and then Downing hit a lollipop pitch. It was not the knuckler.
So Bob Shirley picking up for Phil Necro with 1 out in the 8th inning and the Angels leading 4-0. When the Yankees bat in the bottom of the 8th, they are due to send up Hara, Winfield, and Baylor. That's the numbers 2, 3, and 4 hitters. 2-1. So Wilfong trying to keep it going as Walk grounded out and then tripled. Remember, he hit one high off the right field wall. And he walks. So the Yankees, who came into the game 4 games under 500 and 14.5 games back of Detroit, are down 4-0 in the 8th inning. Toronto won their game to win 5 in a row, but of course they began 7.5 behind the amazing Tigers. Ball 1. Ron Jackson, who picked up for Bobby Grich, who went down with the flu bug. Jackson had a scoring fly ball in the 7th inning to pick up an RBI. While Grich went 1 for 2, and now timeout. Jeff Torborg going out to talk to Bob Shirley.
Well, Jeff's from the old school, and conversations like this, there's no great strategy going on. It's simply, hey, quit nibbling, throw some strikes. We can't defense the base on balls. Give the guys a chance to make the play, they'll make the play.
Yogi knows, as we look at him, that his bullpen has done a complete about-face. The earned run average for the Yankee bullpen was over 4 in April. And now in May, the earned run average is less than 1.5. So it has become reliable.
Chuck Adams from the commissioner's office just called, and it was Cecil Upshaw.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like to try for $50?
Does this mean look at Phil Necro? He doesn't want to try for anything now except his next start. 3-0 the count. The Angels with runners at first and second, leading 4-0 and trying to break it wide open now at the expense of Bob Shirley. Right. You know, last Sunday, the Yankees, having played 42 innings over the previous 3 days, and they were desperate for pitchers. Shirley started against Seattle, and he pitched the first 5 innings of a combined shutout to gain credit for a victory in his first start of the year. Ground ball down to short. Bad hop. They get the 1. They get the 2. And I'll tell you what, nothing comes easily. Robertson is rubbing his chest as if he was shot under the heart. But they come up with their 4th double play to restore order. And at the end of 7.5, the Angels 4 runs, 9 hits. The Yankees no runs, 8 hits, 3 errors.
Now, Ford Ranger does it. Breaks out with a great low price. That's right, just $59.93 on the pickup with quality unbeaten by any major small truck maker. based on a survey of owner-reported problems during the first 3 months. And Ranger has a wider cab than any small truck. Plus, power, payload, and tough twin I-beam suspension. Yes, Ford Ranger puts it all together. An 84 pickup at an 83 price. The best-built American trucks are built. Ford Tough.
Look how water can destroy unprotected wood, but not if it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Use Thompson's Water Seal waterproofer on dozens of surfaces. Brush on Thompson's for an invisible barrier that helps prevent water from entering and damaging brick, wood, and concrete. Your house isn't really protected until it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Many stores now have special values on Thompson's Water Seal.
So this is the new log cabin.
Thanks for giving me a hand.
Hey, what are friends for?
Here's to good friends. Tonight's kind of special.
Try it this way.
The beer we'll pour says something more somehow.
Looks like we're about done, huh?
Not yet, you're not.
Tonight.
Not a bad day's work.
Next weekend, we put in the pool.
Let it be low and brown.
The American tradition continues with an old-fashioned doubleheader and baseball's best of the West. The Dodgers battle the Mets. Then the world champion Orioles take on the Angels. Or the Cardinals face the Braves and the Royals clash with the Red Sox. The teams are here. The memories are waiting. Next Saturday.
Well, the memories are waiting next Saturday for the doubleheader. We've already provided some part of a memory as far as today's game is concerned, hooked up to last night, as Toby Harrah takes ball one. Last night, the Angels had 4 double plays back of Tommy John. We have had 6 double plays today. 4 turned in by the Yankees and 2 turned in by the Angels. So we've had 10 double plays in 2 games, and that ties a record. What's interesting is it's only happened once in the National League, and that's over 50 years ago. It's the 4th time in American League history, and the last time was 12 years ago. Boy, that's a lot of DPs on an infield where you should have an insurance policy before you go out there.
Hospitalization.
Blue Cross.
Okay.
2-2. 4-0 in favor of the Angels. The Yankees trying to get well. Harrah, Winfield, and Baylor trying to get up off the floor. Ground ball to the right side. Will Fong makes it look easy. 1 away. By the way, the Angels made a change. Juan Beniquez is now in left field for Brian Downing. So Juan Beniquez for Downing. There he is. Dave Winfield lined out to center, fouled out with the bases loaded, and singled to right to load the bases. So the Yankees have themselves to blame. They've had a lot of people on base, but they've stranded them all. And of course, it's a club that's been shut out 8 times already this year. Strike. Boy, it must have been something to be in his spot. Take your pick. You want to play football, baseball, or basketball in the big leagues?
I think he picked the right sport.
I do too. 1-1. 1 out in the 8th. Angels 4, Yankees nothing. Little nubber over the mound, charging Schofield. Scoops, throws, gets him. Good play. Dick Schofield makes a fine play with the glove.
He charges the ball hard. He has shown great range. You can see why the Angels are committed to a youngster like that. And I'll tell you, the first thing that a rookie has to really overcome is the fact that the guys he's playing against are people that he has read about and heard about, but they're not supermen. And that's a big hurdle.
Here's Don Baylor, a one-hopper with a lot of English on it. Boy, that was right out of the pool hole. He hit that off the cue stick, and Schofield gets it. So a quick 8th inning. Boy, Jeff Zahn sure takes you apart without you even feeling the pain. And at the end of 8, 4-0 Angels.
Working hard when the pressure's on could mean perspiration odor. Right Guard Roll-On helps stop wetness better than the leading roll-on as it kills the bacteria that can cause perspiration odor.
How can a guy 5'9" have an unfair advantage over these guys? I use the Gillette Atra razor. They don't. It's got the advantage of a pivoting head. Atra is better than twin blade razors that don't pivot. See? They don't always stay in my beard, but my Atra pivots to keep both blades on my beard longer. So I get a better shave, close, comfortable.
Get the Gillette Atra and get the Atra advantage.
Sometimes a little advantage goes a long way.
Okay, guys, you're on your own.
Used to good friends.
Ready? Ready as I'll ever be.
Tonight is kind of special.
Whoa! Last one down by the lower brow.
Beer will pour. Must say something more somehow.
So tell me, were you scared? No.
Tonight.
Me too.
Let it be the
Before politics and professionalism, there really was an Olympics where the only prize was glory. Stand up and cheer as the first Olympics begins tomorrow.
Mr. Jeffrey Clayton Zahn. And remember, when he was 30 years old, he had amassed the grand total of 6 Major League victories. But stick-to-itiveness, now at the age of 37, he has won 100 big league games, and he's on his way to his 5th win of 1984.
And he's the kind of a pitcher who gives you those comfortable collars. You go back to the hotel, say, boy, he's nice to hit, and you look in the box score, and you're 0 for 4, 0 for 3.
And now we'll look at Clay Christensen. Missing away to Jerry Narron, ball 1. Clay Christensen, he's big enough to do the job, 6'5", 205-pounder. High fly ball to left field, pretty deep. Piniella going back, but he's got a lot of room. 1 away. So it's been Necro for 7 1/3, Shirley for 2/3 of an inning, and now Christensen.
You know, it's a good point you make how big Christensen is, because when you bat against a guy who's that big, you do get the feeling of hitting uphill, and yet against a guy like Zahn, it's like teeing off on an elevated tee. You just feel better.
Oh, I'm sure that there has to be more fear in looking at a big man on the mound. I would sure think so.
Oh, yeah.
Busted bat, ground ball to third, and there is Hara. That's the last hurrah. 2 down. I kind of dropped that in, hoping you wouldn't
I certainly hope
notice
so.
it.
I certainly hope you just dropped it in. Keep waiting for. He's a trivia question, you know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, he spelled his name frontwards and backwards the same way.
There you go. Toby, huh? How'd you do that? It's 4-0 Angels in the ninth. Look at this. A chopper back to Christensen. And the Angels don't get off the ground. And at the end of 8 1/2 innings, just like that, Angels 4 runs, 9 hits, and 2 errors. The Yankees no runs, 8 hits, and 3 errors. Piniella and Mattingly and Weiniger.
I'm a chauffeur. It's up to me to take care of the cars I drive. Armor All Protectant, my secret. I use it on the tires, the vinyl top, and inside on the dashboard and the seats. It helps keep things like new, even on this old classic. I do hope the master never sells her. They just don't make cars like they used to. Armor All. It's science, but it works like magic.
I see your desk got a computer on it.
Yeah, smart desk. Going to the game?
Me, I don't need a computer. I just call Bert. What if Bert's not in? I wait till Bert's back. Who's playing?
Detroit. You know, I don't know how I managed before.
Well, machines and I just don't mix. Know what I mean?
Sure. I'll see you at the game.
Yeah, actually, I've got a little more to do.
Some people don't need an IBM computer on their desk.
Is that you, Bert?
The Smart Desk is for people who do.
He's at the game.
A new design in radial tires is rolling your way from Goodyear. Say hello to Vector.
Oh, Vector? You fellas ever seen a tread like that?
Goodyear's new Vector has a unique tread.
Crisscross curves. What are they for?
Traction. All-season traction in snow and rain.
Well, move right along, Vector.
Plus, outstanding mileage down the road. Say hello to the new design in radial tires.
Vector? This is our director.
Vector, the new radial design from Goodyear.
An NBC Sports premier event series. History was made here. History will be made here. The French Open. Coverage begins June 3rd.
As we go to the bottom of the ninth inning, Jeff Zahn has gone through 8, and those are his numbers. He certainly hasn't had to work too hard because he's been throwing so many strikes. It should be pointed out that Jeff had completed 3 of 7 previous starts, but he does not have a shutout. He is against a team, however, that has already come up dry 8 times this year. Piniella is 2 for 3. Ball 1. Piniella, then Mattingly and Weiniger. Lou grounded to second, single to center, single to left. Strike. Piniella has always been a line drive hitter, as he discusses Greg Kost's call of that last pitch. It's a rather interesting way to do it, leaning on the bat. It was only last year that Piniella hit his 100th career home run. He's really a marvel. He's been in pro ball since 1962, and he's lasted. And in the last 8 years, his lowest average, 277. No wonder they decided to make him a hitting instructor. He's 40 years old. 1-2. Strike 3, and now he's really unhappy. Goodbye. He has been kicked out of the game by Greg Kost. So he argued on the other strike, and he is chased. That's Gene Michael asking him to leave quietly. And Yogi Berra now trying to make sure that Piniella doesn't do something that would get him suspended. So Piniella is steaming, and he's also gone. Maybe we should have a designated swearer. You have a guy come off the bench to do the profanity, and that keeps you in the game. Take a look at it if you want to play umpire. The batter now is Don Mattingly. Ball 1. Oh boy, you talk about dangling some participles and splitting a few infinitives. Lou Piniella did that with exclamation points. That's a strike. 1-1. 1 out in the ninth, 4-0 Angels. Zahn hasn't wasted anything today. 2-1 the count, and Piniella now has cooled off and taken a hike. Two and 1. Fouled off. Well, that sinker has really done a job. It should also be noted, by the way, that Piniella does not usually lose his cool to that extent. In checking that long and illustrious career of his, it's only the second time in his career that Lou Piniella has ever been thrown out of a game. That's foul. 2-2. The executive producer of NBC Sports has never been thrown out of a game. That's Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer for NBC Baseball, Harry Coyle. The telecast of today's Game of the Week. Produced by George Finkel. He's questionable. I'm not sure whether he's ever been kicked out or not. Directed by Harry Coyle. Pregame produced by Les Dennis. Pregame directed by Mary Buda. And there's a fly ball to left field to Juan Beniquez. Mr. Jeffrey Zahn would certainly win the Miller MVP. A light beer from Miller. Happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Jeff Zahn to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Our technical directors, Bill Toby and Salvatore Nagita. Feature producer, Antoinette Machiaverna. Associate directors, Joe Michaels, J.D. Hansen, Dave Hoffman. It has been a most exciting day of baseball, as it usually is, and Len Berman will wrap up the whole scene and put a ribbon on it in a few minutes, so stay right where you are. We'll also try, Joe is downstairs, and if we can, we'll get Jeff Zahn and his post-game comments. And we'll be looking forward to talking to many of you next weekend from Anaheim when the Angels play the world champion Baltimore Orioles. The Angels began the day in first place, a half a game ahead of Minnesota. Baltimore began the day 10.5 behind the phenomenal Tigers. But it's only the middle of May. 3-1. Ground foul. 3-2. John McNamara sent Zahn to do the job, and Jeff has been equal to it. It's 4-0 Angels in the 9th inning. He's, let's see, retired 9 in a row. But break that, there's the base hit. Luis Sanchez gets up in the Angel bullpen. One of the problems the Angels had last year, you know, you look at a ball club in 1982, the Angels won a title. In 1983, they wound up tied for 5th with Minnesota. And you say, why would a ball club go down the tube so quickly? One reason, they had only 23 saves coming out of the bullpen. That was one reason why everybody thought they might get Gossett. 1-1. Those 23 saves, by the way, that was a low in the major leagues. Ground ball wide of first, knocked down as best you can say by Jackson, throws and got him. Big play by Ron Jackson. And Jeff Zahn pitches his first shutout of the year. His 101st big league victory. For a guy a lot of people wrote off when he was 30 years old and had won only 6. At 37, he is now won 101. Don't go wandering off. Joe will be with Jeff, I think, coming up after this.
From CBS Sports, Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
In Game 6, the Los Angeles Lakers took the floor with the defense of their title hanging in the balance. A battered Isaiah Thomas performed heroically for Detroit. But it wasn't enough. The Lakers escaped with a victory, forcing tonight's dramatic 7th game showdown. This has been a series of startling contrasts, from the friendships off the court to the fierce hostility on it. We've witnessed the youthful exuberance of the challengers and the poise of the champions. There's been hardship and pain, but not enough to overcome sheer guts and determination. These teams have battled to a standstill, and tonight their destiny will be determined. It's just a question of who can endure this final hurdle. The Lakers hope to repeat history tonight, while the Pistons hope to make some. A championship is at stake, and only one team's prayers will be answered. It is June 21st. We have reached the first full day of summer, and a tough 8-month war is about to come to an end inside the Los Angeles Forum. The NBA basketball season comes down to a one-game war. And this crowd crowd here tonight has not been a late arriving one, as CBS welcomes you to the final game of the 1988 NBA Finals. It's Game 7. The Detroit Pistons, champions of the East, against the Los Angeles Lakers, the best of the West. High above the floor here at the Forum, last year's championship banner. The Lakers tonight trying to become the first team to win back-to-back championships since the Boston Celtics did on this very same floor back in 1969. Don Nelson with a field goal that gave the Celtics their final margin of victory that night. And for the legendary Bill Russell, it was to be his last basketball game. And now tonight, the greatest winner of all time has joined us to see if the Lakers can repeat. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. So tonight, when we end, the 7th game comes to a conclusion. Either the Pistons or the Lakers will receive the Larry O'Brien Trophy. The big story that everybody wants to be updated on, Isaiah Thomas, the star for the Detroit Pistons. On Sunday afternoon, he turned in one of the greatest quarters that anybody had ever seen. And here he is warming up and getting loose for tonight's 7th game. He scored 25.
Status, but I'm definitely going to try and take me up and put some kind of machine on me with some electrodes and stuff, and just go from there.
Have you been able to put any weight on it since Sunday's game?
I haven't tried. Tonight will be the first time. They had me hooked up to this machine that supposedly takes you to your threshold of pain, and after that, you're supposed to be able to deal with any type of pain that comes your way. So hopefully that's what these electrodes will do tonight.
So he threw the crutches away a short time ago, came out for the layup drill with the Pistons, the first time he has put any weight on it, and the team doctor of the Pistons told me if anyone can play tonight, it's Isaiah Thomas. He said he has the highest threshold of pain of any athlete he's dealt with, and he has been dealing with professional basketball players for more than 2 decades. Now, Dick Stockton, I would guess that the question is, what can the Pistons do, if anything, without Isaiah Thomas if he's forced to leave early? I'm sure you and Billy Cunningham have some thoughts on that.
Well, Brent, we do, as a matter of fact. I think the Pistons are prepared for other ideas, such as Dennis Rodman in the backcourt and using some people such as Ralph Lewis and even Walker D. Russell to come in short bursts if they need it. But they're counting on Isaiah Thomas to play in this game, and it's reminiscent in many ways to the time that Willis Reed marched on the court to the thundering cheers at Madison Square Garden in 1970 as the Knicks beat the Lakers in Game 7 then. And, Billy, I guess everyone's question has to be, can the Pistons, without 100% Isaiah Thomas, beat the Lakers in Game 7 at the Forum?
Well, I know one thing. Pat Riley hopes that Isaiah Thomas is out on the court, and I'm sure he'll start, but he's experienced games in his career where the star isn't there, and there's that ever so slight letdown of a ball club, and there they go, losing the ball game. But now you look at Detroit. If Isaiah is only able to play a couple minutes, I think everyone expects them to lose. So now all of a sudden it's a relief almost to the players, and they'll go out there and have some fun.
Many times teams rise another level because a teammate is not playing, but of course they better rise another level, the Pistons against the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, what do the coaches have to feel about this game? Chuck Daly, he pinpoints one thing here.
Leadership, I think it has to come from Joe in the backcourt in particular to run the show. And I think internally, bench-wise and all, I think Adrian will be sufficient. We'll have enough leadership.
What's going to win it tonight for either team is going to be defense. The best defense tonight all around. And I'm talking about your team defense and primarily your individual defense when you take something away from them. The rebounding part of the game, that's what's going to win, and that's what we have to really concentrate on.
Leadership.